Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Or we just go live right now. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna. Welcome to this episode of the Vaishnava Voices podcast. My name is Sitapati Das.
And my name is Sana Devi.
And welcome to our very special guests. Today we have our regular returning panelist and mentor, technical and transcendental recruiter, Gaura Prabhu, who has brought us in connection with His Grace, Riddha Prabhu. Thank you for coming onto the show today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today's show, the topic is how to be a revolutionary according to time, place, and circumstance. So before we dive into that, I want to take a moment just to acknowledge the spiritual lineage that's present here today. We have two disciples of His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It's Gaura and Riddha Prabhu. I'm just going to mute your mics while I create this here, just so we don't have any background sound coming through. Disciples of His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're going to find out more about the history of your connection and activities in this lifetime and what that looks like going into the future, because you are a link with an eternal tradition that's been handed down, Evam Parampara Praptam. And also I want to acknowledge, we'll get to acknowledge various people as we go through, but I want to acknowledge Srila Prabhupada, because he is like our common father, grandfather, has brought us together in the spiritual family. So to begin today's episode, which is about, Gaura's asking a question here. Let me put this to Riddha Prabhu. Gaura, I'll let you ask the question to Riddha Prabhu.
Yeah,
it's his show.
I sent a message to Rameshwar Prabhu about a half an hour ago, and he said he's just coming back from Ratha Yatra right now. And I wanted to invite him in, but I don't want to edge you out either. So
no, invite him in.
Okay.
Invite him in.
Okay.
I love this.
I love it spontaneously. That's when I'm in my element.
Invite him, 100%.
Jai.
Warriors.
Fantastic.
Well done. Gaura is such a connected person.
He is.
Such a blessing.
Yeah. So I'd like to begin. I'd like to begin with a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. No, sorry, the Bhagavatam. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words, directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Thank you for dialing in. I know it's very early in the morning where you are, Riddha Prabhu. It's
wide awake.
You're in.
Now.
You're in Mayapur.
After hearing your voice, I'm wide awake and attentive.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Could you take a few moments to create for the viewers who you are so they can get a sense of you? And if you're watching live on Facebook or on YouTube, feel free to drop a comment, a question, anything you want to contribute, and tag a friend to share the good news. For the people who are watching live right now and in the future, in the archives, Riddha Prabhu, could you create for them who you are and how you would like them to know you?
Okay, well, thank you for that introduction. The easiest way to understand about my history is to get a copy of this, which
Hold it up.
I'll be sending it to you. And I think you've got an image. I sent it to you on WhatsApp, so you should have the image with you.
Yes, that's a picture of you with Srila Prabhupada there?
Yes.
Epic. When was that picture taken?
That picture was taken on the arrival of Srila Prabhupada on the 5th of October 1975 at Durban Airport, Srila Prabhupada had struggled to get entrance into that racist country during the apartheid regime. And I use those terminologies graphically because who would spend 2 years applying for a visa? And even when they were considering Srila Prabhupada's visa, there were all kinds of constraints. He had to have a chest x-ray. He had to have a financial sponsor. He had to have a cash deposit. He had to have this, that, so many things. And, you know, it was a very sensitive time in the liberation of the apartheid regime. And I mean, it took time. No doubt things are in reverse now. They're not perfectly liberated. There's reverse apartheid. So Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, our godbrother here, he told Nelson Mandela specifically, do not allow your country to slip in the same way that the other African states have done after they became independent. So the entrance to Srila Prabhupada into the Republic of South Africa was a classic event. And my other two books, here they are. And then this one was the first one, which was really a big hit.
Oh, that I've read that book.
Right.
Destination South Africa.
Yeah, that's more, you know, that's more famous than all the books to get together because they were published. That Destination was published during the centennial year, and it was a great hit. And recently, one of my godbrothers, who is in his last legs in Cornwall, in England, his name is Mahotsaha Prabhu, who is a great preacher, and he's got a little bit of dementia, so he's in a hospital. And my son went to visit my elder son, Bhakti. He goes to visit him regularly on a long journey in Newquay. Newquay's after Glastonbury. And it's on the coastal, it's a surfing paradise in England. So he's in a hospital, psychiatric ward. And I got a video clip from my son on WhatsApp, and there's Destination South Africa being read by a devotee to Kamsahanta, and he's just absorbing all this information. So I get so happy when people read my books and share it, the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. I'm so happy about it. And I understand that Kamsahanta Prabhu, who was maltreated in many ways while he was in South Africa, like many of us, unfortunately what happens in regimes, fascist regimes, is that some of the devotees, they pick up those fascist traits themselves, and they inflict it upon each other. It's horrendous. Why should we inflict pain on your godbrother? Why? Tell me, what's the reason? We need to love each other. We need to learn how to love each other. We need to learn how to get along with each other, and we need to learn how to share and stop being exclusive. And you know, I mean, there are so many godbrothers that are leaving this world that have been sidelined and persecuted. So in my books, I always give credit as much as I can to those that have served Srila Prabhupada very sincerely. And I highlight that in all of my books. I give credit to them rather than myself. I don't know if that helps clarify the situation a little bit.
Well, I have a picture. I have actually a page from one of your books here. I can bring it up on the screen. Let me hang on. If I got a couple here, so I can share screen. Don't show these tips again. And then I'm going to share an entire screen two. So a couple of things. First of all, I've got here the cover of your book, My Life's Journey in Pursuit of Enlightenment. This is a new book.
This is the new book.
The new book. Right. And I was just quickly looking on Amazon.com. Looks like they did stock Destination South Africa. It's out of stock. Mission in the Service of His Divine Grace is available for like $54. Is there a better option where people can get your books from?
Yes. Just by contacting me, I'll make all the arrangements.
And awesome. How should people contact you? You can write this down and we'll put it on the screen.
Yeah.
What's the best way for people to get in contact?
Through my email address. You can give that now.
Yes.
Yeah. RDACB SP.
Day, Delta. No, R, D.
R.
D. Riddha Das. Yep.
AC.
Charanara Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
That's the best way to reach me, because I pretty much get my emails through my mobile when I'm running around, so I can see them, or I log in very regularly. And then I'm just
going to put that up on the screen so that viewers can see this. rdacbsp@gmail.com. So we can throw this up on the screen like that, and I'll just double check if I got that. Have we got that right, Prabhu?
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I just sent you an email. You can copy it from your paste.
Oh yes, very good. Yeah. That is the correct email. That's it.
Yeah.
This is the best place to get the books direct from the author.
Support. Yeah, I'll sign a copy and I'll send it the cheapest way possible anywhere in the world. If possible, if you have somebody in India, because most of my books are in India, they're not in the Western countries, because since the pandemic, it's very expensive to ship books. But I can, I can share them with the cheapest possible way to ship the books. Or if there are any outlets in any country, like Vishnu Murthy, who is a New Zealander, he's a good friend of
Belgium.
mine. Yeah, he has a stock of my books.
Epic.
And I'm in touch with him a fair bit from time to time.
So people can order a book or a case of books. And I have a page here from, I'm not sure which book this is from, but I have this page here.
This is from My Life's Journey. This is from My Life's Journey. Correct. So, yeah.
Wow. From the Where Are They Now files. When was this picture taken?
That was taken in 1975 at the Vrindavan section of the Mayapur Vrindavan Festival. Before the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir, Tripurari received sannyas order from Srila Prabhupada. And immediately after the Fayag, we went up to the guest room upstairs in the hallway. And fortunately, I was able to get this beautiful photograph taken. And it's something that will always stay with me my entire life. Yeah.
Quite happy.
Those days with Tripurari are very dear to me. And if you want to ask me any questions about my interaction with him, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah.
If you want to wait for Praghosa, Rameshwar come in, I can.
If we can get them in. Yeah. Well, I've got a couple of questions right now. Like, how old are you guys in this photo? It's 1975. That's like
the body.
25, 23. That's like 48 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
Be in your 20s, early 20s?
Yes. I joined ISKCON when I was in 1972. So I was born in 1949. So you can do the maths and then figure it out. It's 23,
yeah. And then another 3 years, like 20, 25, 26.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah. Like in the prime of your youth.
I mean, this picture was taken directly after my stint with Tripurari. When I say stint, I mean, I had several stints with him, but I was his man amongst Ganapati, Kavichandra Swami, Praghosa Prabhu, Vaishesika Prabhu, Sarvabhauma Prabhu, and many of those stalwarts that were on the airport Sankirtan party. So not all of them lived with us. We lived in Everston in Chicago at the temple in the BBT room. We had a special dedicated room. So we used to stay there. And it brings back fond memories. I mean, it was like special forces in every respect. The only way I can describe it was special forces, because we were empowered by Tripurari, Rameshwar, and Srila Prabhupada. We had special blessings that were coming through us. And when you were there in the field, you know, there in the airports, and when you were around Tripurari, he was just a servant of a servant. He did not promote himself to be anybody special. He was so humble. His qualities are very exemplary. And that was his qualifications. He was just the servant of the servant of the servant. Absolutely. And I'll talk about it a little later when Praghosa and Rameshwar come in. I don't want to spoil and exclude them from the descriptions that I want to share with you.
Okay. This is, you know, it's like we can often look back in time. I'm going to take this off the screen now and think, well, you know, that was then and this is now. You know, like people, they often say things like, well, you know, when the movement was young and brash, but now we're more mature. And I mean, that's kind of like a life cycle that every person goes through. I remember when I joined and people were saying that to me, I was like, you know what? Don't ruin it for me. I'm like coming up to my 50th birthday now, but I was like, I have to go through my 20s too, you know? And I want to like, I don't want the ISKCON Krishna consciousness retirement program in my 20s. Like I'm 20 and I've got revolutionary fire in my belly. And, you know, that was back in the late 90s. And sometimes devotees would be like, oh, you know, we used to be fired up and think like that as well. But, you know, then we matured. And I was like, maybe one day I will too. But in the meantime, so I'm always fascinated with this question. Like, what does it look like, you know, according to time, place, and circumstance, to be a revolutionary? You know, that it's an eternal revolutionary spirit which manifests itself in different ways at different times. Like through your activities, the Special Forces group of Tripurari Maharaj, yourself, a key player in that, transformed America's relationship to preaching of the Bhagavad Dharma. Like, you know, there were court cases that you had to fight to assert the right to preach the message of Godhead to the suffering people in the airport, thereby
Absolutely.
directly making it happen, putting yourself on the line, confronting it. And what I would like to do in this conversation is to draw from your experience and your realization and gain some kind of sense of like, and being in the question of like, okay, well, what is that going to look like for us today in 2023 to have that same revolutionary spirit?
Well, so far as the missionary revolution, Srila Prabhupada's instructions on book distribution, that still goes on today. So to answer your question, that how it applies to us today, if you look at some of the stalwart devotees that are into book distribution, like that devotee Mahotsaha in Atlanta, he's on fire in the same mode as Tripurari. I mean, but the only difference is there's no cash. In our days, there was cash everywhere, and we had to get the books paid for. So these days, that Prabhu distributes mostly to ethnic type people from Afro-American, Afro-Caribbean type people in Georgia, Atlanta. Because the Europeans or the Caucasian white Americans, they're not so soft enough to be approached. So they've tapped in, this Mahotsaha is tapped into a whole different mindset by reaching out. We couldn't reach ethnic people in the old days. They were very hurt, downplayed, in poverty, struggling, cash-strapped. I mean, I've met a few that gave, famous people like Stevie Wonder and other type of Black Americans. But they came out of the slave trade, and their evolution was not so fast. But these days in America, this Mahotsaha Prabhu, he's tapped right into it. You got to watch his videos. I mean, he is amazing. He is the type of people he distributes sets of books to, And then when it comes time to the payment, they just have 3 or 4 or 5, 6 different applications on their phone, and they say which one they want to use, tap, and it's done. The sale is done. Now, I don't suppose he does sets on a huge scale every single day. Maybe he does. Some of the videos may be promotional.
Well, he's doing like 4,000 books a day. He's doing stacks of them. It's not take a book. It's like take a stack of books.
So he has a background.
I'm sure, or if he hasn't seen the videos, he would be impressed. I'm sure he would be impressed. But you have to understand, Tripurari's contribution to the early days of Srila Prabhupada's instructions, they still stand. They still stand. They haven't been diminished. And of course, ISKCON has gone through different phases of paraphernalia, incense, records, paintings, all kinds of, hopeless business ventures to support the temples. But if we stick to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, then things will be glorious in every respect. And there are different ways to do it. I remember in the days not so long back, when we had a venue with Polystyrene and her group. There was 2 rock musicians. And we went to the Savoy Hotel. I was in charge of the security of the group and the devotees, and we entertained the royal family in the Savoy Hotel in the Strand in central London. And of course, it was the trick of the witch, was the band's song, which was very skillfully presented. But these royalty people had special tables with soft cushioned chairs, gold chairs, and white cloths and stainless, silver cutlery and everything. And we served the prasadam. And on the table was the higher taste. On every table was several copies of the higher taste. So every person from the royal family took away the higher taste. Now, we didn't shove the Bhagavad Gita down their throat. We didn't get on a pedestal and started preaching to them in fire and brimstone. We didn't do that. We gave them rock music in which they were dancing their heads off after the band. And they took spiritual delights, and they took the book, and they got a very good impression of Hare Krishna. Very good impression. So there are different ways to distribute books. In the same way, I give credit to Pusta Krishna, Swami at the time in South Africa. There was one company called CNN. I think it was CNN. It was the largest retail outlet of book and magazines and publications in the whole country. And if you read it, you read the story in this book, it'll explicitly explain to you, that's Pusta Krishna there. It explicitly explains to you how he befriended the purchaser of that company who would purchase publications to distribute in their nationwide network. And that man bought 1,000 copies of the Krishna book, the trilogy, the soft paperback book. So
Wow.
when we're sufficiently dedicated to Srila Prabhupada's mission, that Krishna will give us the enthusiasm and direction in which to get Srila Prabhupada's books into mainstream facilities. I mean, that can happen if we have that desire. We just have to have the desire. And I give a lot of credit to Pushta Krishna because he brought me to South Africa with the permission of Tripurari, because in America, many devotees were overzealous. I don't want to get into it too much, but they were a little bit too fired up for the Lakshmi. And I was always desiring in my life as a book distributor to distribute the books on the strength of the book. I was always desiring that. I always had that negative feeling in my heart when I was out there, that I've got a wig on, I've got kami clothes on, and I'm giving them a spiel, and I'm fast talking them and trying to get $20 out of them. After a while, it kind of, I thought, how long is this going to go on like this? So in my heart, I was always yearning to distribute the books on the strength of the book. So when Tripurari released me, and he didn't want to let me go, by the way, during the Mayapur Vrindavan Fest, didn't want to let me go. He wanted me to go back with him to America. And I was on board to go back. If he said, you can't go, I'd go back. I had the ticket with him. I was with the BBT Airport Sankirtan party. I was ready to go back. But Pushta Krishna wanted me to open up big book distribution in South Africa. So he allowed me to go there and do that. And that's exactly what happened. And when I got there, it was a book haven. Maybe New Zealand is like that. Maybe Australia is similar. People are God-fearing down there in South Africa, down under. And you could tell somebody about Krishna, you could tell them about the philosophy on the strength of the book, and they would buy the book on the strength of what you were saying, on your own conviction. And that, to me, was fantastic. That was fantastic. That really warmed my heart. And then what really warmed my heart even more in this book, I describe what happened to Srila Prabhupada. We had a program at a university in Johannesburg, a white university predominantly, Witwatersrand University. And I had set up book tables in the foyer. So when Srila Prabhupada gave the lecture, after the lecture, the European people, and many of them from all walks of life, many of them were Jews from a Judaic background. They were very intelligent Jews. They came and they purchased Srila Prabhupada's books in their droves. And Prabhupada came into the foyer and spoke to me. And he said, "You're selling so many books?" I said, "Prabhupada, we've sold $2,000 or $3,000 worth of books." And he was so humble about it. He didn't take any credit. But actually, Srila Prabhupada is the biggest book distributor. He is the best book distributor. If he wanted to take over every venue by his lectures and his influence, by having us as his servants in every foyer, we could sell thousands and thousands of containers of books wherever Srila Prabhupada went. But Srila Prabhupada didn't take the credit himself. He allowed us to go out independently and to go into awkward situations. And to give credit to those that were very dear to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, like Harikesh. Put aside whatever has happened in contemporary times, but if you look back in history, Srila Prabhupada was training Harikesh specifically in the art of introducing and convincing the Soviet population in the Soviet Union about Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada was with him in Gujarat before he came to South Africa, and he was training him. But when he came to Johannesburg, one day I was outside the room of Prabhupada's room, and Harikesh jumped out, and he said, Riddha Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada has been with me for 11 hours, and he's been training me systematically how to get through to the Soviets, how to confront them in their philosophy and how to defeat them. So these devotees that took Srila Prabhupada's instructions sincerely, they excelled. You can't even imagine what it's like to go to a fascist country like Argentina, Chile, South Africa, another fascist country, and they were all ganged up. South Africa was friends with the people from Paraguay, Uruguay, Chile. They had consulates in all those countries, Argentina. These are fascist countries where they robbed us from our stock of books in Argentina. They robbed us and withheld the importation of Prabhupada's books in Spanish and withheld them until through a ransom until we paid years later. There are so many stories. What to speak of the Soviet Union? Could you imagine going to a communist country and trying to convince somebody of Krishna consciousness? You couldn't dream how to start. You get my point?
I do. I actually have some personal experience with that. I ran the BBT in Peru for 3 years, back in the early 2000s. And I was resupplying a book distribution party in the mountains of Bolivia. And I had to take the books through Chile to get there, and they got impounded at the border.
Oh, yes.
And held ransom. But I found the right man that I needed to give a gift to get them back out.
Oh.
So yeah, I can totally relate to that.
I mean, Spanish people, Mexican people, Peruvian people, all those types of people are very pious. And I find it a little bit bewildering why they would offend a saint like Srila Prabhupada. Why would they offend him and his books? Why would they do that? Is it because it's just some kind of corrupt regime where they want money? What is it about? It's about money, I suppose.
Well, yeah, it doesn't work the same way that it does in the West, where it's a system. It's everything is personal. You know how Prabhupada gives the example of the demigods, and he says, yes, the demigods are controlling everything, but you should not worship the demigods directly, because that's like corruption, like trying to bribe government officials. But in a lot of places, that's actually how it actually works.
In South
direct corruption.
Yes, I get your point. In South Africa, we didn't do anything like that at all. It was a very much stricter regime. You could end up in prison very easily. But you asked me a question recently about one of Srila Prabhupada's lectures he was giving.
Pastimes there. It's from your Srila Prabhupada's memories.
Yeah.
We were listening to it, Dana, Davey, and I, the other night, and it was a very short memory, your video on there. It's quite short. So I don't know if this part got cut out, but it was almost like a teaser for the full thing, which I'm hoping to hear now. And you were saying that Srila Prabhupada was on fire and that we could have got arrested that night. And I'm like, wow, this sounds like a wild pastime. And then you were like, he was expert at being a revolutionary according to time, place, and circumstance. And we were sitting on the edge of our seats, like, what did he say? What did he say? And then it ended. And we were like, what did Prabhupada say?
Oh my God. Wow. you know what happened. I'll set the scene. Srila Prabhupada was on the center stage on the Vyasa-san, and an air freight prior to the program that day, an air freight package came from Los Angeles with the 5th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, two parts. And Srila Prabhupada spent the whole day going through the book, looking at it and reading it, because obviously he stated that Krishna writes these books. I don't write these books, so he probably doesn't even remember how he translates. So he was ecstatic about these publications that were coming to him. And we had advertised it. It was, you know, he was going to speak. He was the lecture was to be on the Bhagavad Gita. But it ended up that he lectured on the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was so fired up about it. And he systematically was going on about Rishabdev and the austerity and the potency of performing yoga and austerity to attain spiritual values. And that was the mood of that chapter. And he was just getting more intense as the minutes went by. He was getting intense and intense and intense and intense about the bodily concept of life. We're not these bodies. So as you know, South Africa is, at that time, was steeped in the bodily concept of life. And then out of the blue, we're all sitting there in front of him, he said, and this black and white business is nonsense.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
What a place to say that.
I went into shock. I started to sweat and shiver. And I thought, if he goes on like this, and I mean, I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, but if Srila Prabhupada roars anymore, we're going to be in trouble. But fortunately, he toned it down. But in South Africa, in Johannesburg at the time, was more or less a more relaxed regime. People, you know, we could do Harinam, interracial Harinam on the streets, kind of. My wife specifically was told, I mean, I wasn't married to her, but she was told by the temple authorities, you can't come on Harinam with us, because if they see an Indian-bodied person with us whiteys, then they might object to mixing of the races. I could get away with it because I look Mediterranean, I could be Italian, I could be, you know, I could get away with it.
Okay, I mean, so you were a white person in South Africa.
Yeah. Well, not exactly. I mean, when I first came there, I had to go to a hospital because I had, you know, dysentery from India. I'd been to India in 1971, but when I came back from Mayapur the first time, I was really messed up with Vrindavan. Upset me. I had it in England and I had it in Johannesburg. I had amoebic. So I had a British passport and I am South African, but I also, so I went to the hospital with Gokulendra. He said, just bring your passport. And I went as a devotee and a dhoti and everything. And it was a Jewish doctor. And they did a blood test and I showed my passport and there was no problem. I was treated as a white patient. There were no non-white patients. So he gave me some medicine and I got over it. So to answer your question, I could go places where if you'd been an Indian with dark skin or you'd been, you know, obviously an ethnic, a person of ethnic origin, then you might be ridiculed. But one day I went to the train station, Johannesburg main train station. And as the military boys, the Afrikaner boys, were coming off the train from their boot camp in Bloemfontein in the Orange Free State, I was approaching them. And they were really nice boys. They were different to the American military. They were very sweet. And I was getting nice donations from them and distributing Bhagavatams. But within the hour, half an hour, possibly, maybe a bit more, I was approached by a plainclothes detective. And he showed me his badge, and he wanted to know if I was distributing communist literature. I said, no, this book, and I showed him the Bhagavatam, is 18,000 verses on the science of God. And that kept him quiet straight away. So he left me alone. I said, by the way, here's an invitation. You come to our Sunday feast, and then you can see what we're all about. So he left me alone. So then he turned up at the feast. And he gave nice donation at the Sunday feast, and he suddenly realized we are, what we say we're doing. We're religious people.
Probably his boss sent him. He was like, okay, go and check them out. Maybe his boss sent him. He put his report in, and they were like, go and make sure.
Well, for us, it was good.
Yeah.
So
for him too.
The separate development, the apartheid, in certain ways, was good for us. Because they did everything possible to stop communism propaganda entering the country in any shape or form. If you opened your mouth or produced any communist philosophy or dogma, you would be arrested immediately. For us, that was fantastic. That was great. Because we were revolutionaries. Srila Prabhupada was the greatest revolutionary in many respects. I can touch on that now if you want.
Yeah, please do.
So, Srila Prabhupada went to a Scottish college in his youth, in his younger days, a Scottish Church's college in Calcutta at the time, now Kolkata. And one of his schoolmates was Subhash Chandra Bose. So Srila Prabhupada was educated with privileged people who had money. Prabhupada came from an aristocratic background. And one of his school friends was India's biggest revolutionary. And then when Prabhupada came to South Africa, within days, we went on the morning walk into a British military park where they had graves of British officers and people who had sacrificed their life in the Boer War. And Prabhupada said, well, where are they now? Where are these soldiers? Where are these military men? Where have they gone? And Prabhupada, there was just myself, Pusta Krishna, and Rukma Gokulendra, just a few of us standing there. And Prabhupada said, what is that Indian military man? And I knew what he was talking about. And then in a flash, I knew he was talking about the Gurkha, who was a very fearless Indian soldier. And he said, yes. I said, the Gurkha. And Prabhupada said, yes. And then he picked up his knee and stamped it on the ground with his cane. We kick on the British face. Because they have excluded recognition for the highest military Kshatriyas, Sikh, Gurkha. They have been eradicated from history, from the history books to some extent. So I write about that in Destination South Africa and the Mission. I make a point of it. So Srila Prabhupada had that fire in him about how his countrymen were sidelined. Because he was a revolutionary. Prabhupada could have gone to liberate India with Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. But he didn't. He listened to his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he took his instructions to heart because his spiritual master told him that nationalism cannot work. You have to bring Krishna consciousness to change things. So, but still Srila Prabhupada had that revolutionary spirit in him. And that came out later in Johannesburg when he said this black and white business is nonsense. He took us by surprise because we had been with every time he gave a lecture at a public function, and there was numerous functions. We were just his servants running behind him, getting the Vyasa-san, packing the books up, getting the book tables, doing the kirtan on the stage, distributing the books. We were going out on sankirtan with a Nitya Siddha. It was amazing. The mood. You could never duplicate that mood ever again. It was something out of this world. It was just so special that time. So special being with Srila Prabhupada and going out and having him give the class and us distributing the books. It was just out of this planet.
Epic.
But what else can I say? It's a special time.
Well, I have a couple of questions. I'm sure Gaura has a list of questions there as well, or comments or catalysts for further conversation. But Dana, David, do you have any questions that you wanted to ask? Do you have anything top of mind?
No, I just want to appreciate what he's sharing about Srila Prabhupada. It just brought me to tears.
Good. So
Yeah.
what happened was he had a lot of respect for the British. I'm not trying to deride the British. In many other respects, he showed respect for the teachers that taught him, the Scottish teachers, the professors, the infrastructure that they did in Calcutta, the administration. But then he highlighted in South Africa so many things that they did, which harmed Indians. The cutting of the thumbs of the weavers so that they couldn't weave first-class pure cotton cloth, so that they would have to import the cloth from England. He talked about that. He said, they're very good administrators, but their heart is not correct. In their heart is contaminated. They don't have the purity of heart. Their heart is crooked. And this is the point he made.
We saw a movie.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sorry, Prue. We saw a movie the other night. It just came out. It's Moor, I think it's called.
More.
It's a Punjabi movie, and it's about a 20th century Sikh bandit called Gianna Moore.
Yeah.
And it's been made like a Western. You've seen it? There's an earlier one, and then there's have you seen the recent one that came out?
Maybe, yeah.
Well, yeah, he's a famous figure, and they've remade it and brought it out, and we watched it, and as with a lot of other movies that I've seen from India, the English are like the bad guys.
Oh yeah.
And they're really oppressing the people there. And there's a couple of things. There was that. There was also the nature of the Sikhs as great warriors living on the boundary between the Muslim invasion and the Hindu kingdoms, and the role that they took in sort of they were kind of like the most penetrated in a way. And even when you look at them, they look externally like Muslims. They might look like they're from Afghanistan, from the Taliban or something, but then they're very close to the Hindus as well. And they're also part of the British Army. So there's the Gurkhas and the Sikhs, even today, who are part of the British Army. They have those regiments there.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah, there's a Gurkha regiment, absolutely. One devotee who became an ISKCON initiate, Lokanath Maharaj's disciple, Krishna Balaram, he's an ex-Gurkha. And we have Gurkhas that come to Mayapur. And they're a legacy on their own. I mean, if you want a good security man, if you want a good backup, a Gurkha will kill silently for you. With that cookery, I got a military blade as well. And it's a commando's knife. They will behead you if you're in the way. They're first class.
You can say it again.
Fearless.
They're fearless. And in the Falklands War in Argentina, in Falklands, the Gurkhas were right in the forefront. And the Argentinians were very, very scared of them. They were petrified to be beheaded. Because those guys don't use a bullet. They use the kukri, which is a commando's knife kept at the back. It's about this long.
There's a joke I know about the Gurkhas that, you know, there's a mission that they need to do where they need to, they're going to fly over behind enemy lines, jump out of the plane at you know, at a pretty low altitude, you know, like, you know, 1,000 feet or whatever, land behind enemy lines and then engage with the enemy. And then they say to the Gurkha regiment, you know, this is a very dangerous mission, so we're only taking volunteers. And then they kind of like confer among themselves, and then half of them step forward. And then the British commander is like, what is this? I thought that the Gurkhas were supposed to be like famously courageous and only half of you are volunteering. And then the Gurkha commander says, well, sir, the other half of the men don't think they'll be able to survive the 1,000-foot drop and be combat capable. And then he's like, what, they can't parachute in from 1,000 feet? And then the Gurkha commander says, oh, we're going to have parachutes. And then the rest of them step forward.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're simple people. They're nice people, actually. Nepalis are very nice. They're very nice. Yeah.
So I had a couple of questions that came to mind.
And let me tell you, during the campaign to save the Hare Krishna temple, Bhaktivedanta Manna, and you probably, I don't know if you've looked at my YouTube channel. You've seen my channel?
Yes, we've seen it. Yeah, I'll put a link to it in here.
Please put that link. It's very important. Because in that channel, there is an interview. I interview Akandari Prabhu about the history of saving Bhaktivedanta Manna from closure in the British government. So that gives historical points and facts and information which are not known publicly generally. But when I went to the World Hindu Conference in 1995 in Durban in July, and I arranged for one of our defense movement personnel, Arjuna, Councillor Frank Ward, I introduced him to Nelson Mandela. So during a conference, which went on for a whole week.
I don't want to, can we just checkpoint this for a second and come back to this pastime? Oh. Because
stop.
Praghosa Prabhu is here.
That's amazing.
How was that for an epic intro with the dogs? Welcome, Praghosa Prabhu. Thank you for joining us today.
I kept that.
I lost the camera.
It was on a second ago.
You have to allow the camera, I think. You have to allow it.
I kept asking.
I did allow it. I don't know what happened.
Are you at home now?
I just got home about 15 minutes ago. Hello. Hi, how are you? Good. How are you?
Praghosa Prabhu, perhaps you could try rejoining. Then maybe that will get the camera to work again.
I don't know if he can hear you or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
In the meantime, I had a question for you, Riddha Prabhu.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hello.
Dhanyavad. Prabhus Prabhu ki jai.
Please
Jai.
accept my
Can you hear us?
Might be an internet connection issue happening.
Okay. Riddha, are
You
you
there?
Oh, yeah, I can see Riddha. And what's the other
Jai.
Prabhu's name?
Sitapati and Dana Devi.
Sitapati and Dana
Hare
Devi.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, please
Hare
accept my
Krishna.
obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Glory to
Please
Prabhupada.
accept our humble obeisances. Jai.
Dandavas Prabhu.
Sitapati, where are you from?
We're
You
in-
sound like you're from the British Isles.
I'm from the Antipodes in New Zealand. So we're in New Zealand right now, where it is Sunday.
Oh. Well, you got a lot of challenges there.
Yes. Yeah, we do. Krishna's given us a great field to play in his service.
You know,
So
I look at the world, and I recall something that someone had either read to us in class or spoke. I can't remember, but they were speaking of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and they were recounting how one of the members of Jagadish Chandra Bose, Netaji, he had a program for independence in India, and he wanted the Gaudiya Math to participate. He wanted them to donate manpower, so to speak. And the way it was explained to us was these men, look at them.
You cut out.
They're
The way
all
that it was explained to us, we didn't hear it.
They're weak. They would not do very well for you. Oh, I cut it out. Well, he said they would not do very well on the battlefield.
Okay.
They would not advance the battlefield very significantly. And he said, and as you said, still, just for the sake of joining the participation, giving their support, it would them. If you insist, I will allow some. If you
Allow some what? For the sake of participation, allow some. You cut out.
We might have lost him. Sounds like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, yeah, for this, we'll allow some to participate.
Right.
So the pastime was Jagadish Chandra
So
Subhash.
Jagadish Chandra Bose.
Yeah, he was an Indian general, and the captured soldiers from the British Army who were of Indian origin, captured by the Japanese, were released to him to train a liberation army to liberate India from British colonial rule. And so Srila Prabhupada's explanation was he's the one who liberated India, not Gandhi. Okay, Praghosa Prabhu is back.
Yeah, well, Bhaktisiddhanta said if you spill one drop of their blood, your entire venture will be destroyed. And so Netaji considered it and said, you know, he's a very powerful sadhu. I think maybe it would not be smart to risk him being powerful enough to curse our entire venture. So let's leave them alone. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Were you able to
Yeah.
hear that? Okay, yeah.
The
So
connection
yeah,
seems
you know,
solid now.
the world is. I mean, as I was telling Gaura the other day, we were talking. I've been driving for Uber for the last 3 years here in Los Angeles, and meeting people on a daily basis that are just, you know, stunned at the condition of the world today, and so ready to hear about Krishna, to hear, something encouraging.
I saw the other day on YouTube or KrishnaTube, it's book distribution at the O'Hare Airport. And I don't know who shot it. It was on a video camcorder, from back in the day, or maybe even film.
Was this
and
recent?
It was filming.
Was this recent?
Well, I recently saw it, but this thing was shot back in the 70s because you were there and Tripurari Swami is there. And then it's like in a temple room or somewhere. Riddha Prabhu was saying you stayed in the BBT room at the Chicago temple. And it's talking, Tripurari Swami and yourself talking about the book distribution there.
Oh.
And, I look at that and I just think I've been in protests here in New Zealand. We've had protests for the last 3 years. Government, saying the protests are unlawful. At the same time, the police are out there closing the traffic. So I'm like, the government does seem to be supporting it, but the media is against it. But we were out there, we're doing Harinam. And Krishnendu says to me, man, this is like the 60s. This is like anti-Vietnam war protests out here. Like every person from across the social spectrum is there all together. Like how close do you think it is to the mood of the 60s today?
Oh, I think it's far beyond the mood of the 60s. It's much more intelligent. The number of people, educated people, that are, because what I tell people is the issue is one thing and one thing only. We have God-given free will. With that free will, we can choose God or not. The whole purpose of the human form of life, animals cannot choose God. Bugs cannot choose God. Fish cannot choose God. Only human beings can choose God. And the gift that God has given us is our ability to choose him or not. Virtue forced is not virtue. To be virtuous because the government says you have to do this, that, or the other is not the same as I'm not going to do. It's like I was on a plane on the way to India a few years ago, and an Indian man sat next to me, and he noticed that I always had a vegetarian meal. So finally he said, "You're a vegetarian?" And I said, No, I'm not a vegetarian. He said, "But you only order vegetarian meals." And I said, "Well, the thing is, Krishna, he's a vegetarian, and I can only eat what Krishna eats first. So I'm vegetarian simply because that's all Krishna's got to eat. But if Krishna ate meat, I would eat it." But he started laughing. He said, "That's the perfect answer." I said, "Yeah, but it's the truth. I was raised in an Irish Catholic family in the Lower East Side of Detroit, Michigan. If I asked my mother for what's for dinner tonight, she called it on the basis of whatever meat was being served. Or it's chicken, pork, beef, bacon, whatever, and potatoes and whatever, but they would always name the meat first. So I said to the gentleman, "I'm raised as a meat eater, but fortunately," and then I reached in my little duffel bag and I pulled out Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. I said, "Fortunately, I ran into this book written by this individual a number of years ago, and it changed my whole perspective in about a day, one day." And the man was, very touched by that. So I right now I find people are, being as scrutinizing as can be about everything. It's quite remarkable. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are asleep, but people are waking up more and more and more quickly. It's almost like a snowball going down a hill. It's the snowball effect, because there are so many educated people all over the world from every race and creed that are seeing this as a duel between good and evil, good and bad, right and wrong, God and no God. So I think the 60s, they were rejecting having to go to the the war. But just like yesterday, I read that a supermarket in Austria, now a big chain of supermarkets in Austria, has instituted a program where you have to have a QR code, I guess they call it, a QR code, on your smartphone. You have to show it. And if you don't have that, then you can't buy groceries at the store. So they want to do this all over the world. They want to actually, access to goods and services will be contingent upon one agreeing to play, at the very least, Russian roulette with their life, their health. And that is pushing everyone, not just a few hippies that want to, stay out of the war. So I think the whole world is, when you walk up to somebody and spit on them on the street, they all respond the same way. They're in shock, and then they want to slap you. So what's actually happened is the whole world has been spat upon by the leaders who brazenly lie to them right to their face. They just act as if they just keep going. They act like, you say, yeah, well, I mean, there's just so many ways in which they're being put upon. And we can actually, I've been thinking how to ignite a revolution based on the Bhagavad Gita. Just the Bhagavad Gita alone, with the first 11 verses in the chapter, I think chapter 2, where, Krishna explains the soul. And how, some hear the soul as amazing, some speak of him as amazing, some see him as amazing, and some after hearing and seeing, they can't understand him at all.
And others just can't understand. Going back to Godhead. Yeah. Love the Nanda Prabhu's rendition of it.
Oh, yeah. What a great album that is. So, and, brief answer to your question, I think, people are, waking up. I mean, like they pushed pretty hard in your country, in New Zealand.
They did, until, we had like a 21-day occupation of the parliament. Protesters occupied the parliament gardens outside parliament for 21 days. And we were there. We opened a Krishna temple there, and we had continuous sankirtan, chanting Harinam all day, all night until...
I take the dust of your feet for that. Wow.
Prabhu. So the people started chanting. They were. I've never there. Muchakunda Prabhu said to me, he said, when you go to the end of year retreat and devotees have like their nectar stories, and there's like, he's like, literally every interaction I'm having here is like one of those once a year nectar story, like all day, nonstop. It was unbelievable. Our son Prahlad, he was sitting on a book table 9 to 12 hours a day, just talking to people. People were coming, taking books. He said to me, 90% of the people who are here have got Bhagavad Gita already, because they would come to the table and he'd show them and they'd say, oh, I've already got that book. Like, I was like, these are the demigods and great sages who have been activated. And they were sleeping on the ground, during a cyclone, under trees, in tents. I was like, these people have come to do austerities, sleeping on the ground for the benefit of humanity. They're great sages, without a doubt. And they were completely favorable to the chanting of the holy name. We had continuous sankirtan yagya going. They put us in the middle of the occupation site. And then some other devotees came and stood up a kitchen and did 3,000 plates of prasadam every single day. So these people were just eating prasadam for 3 weeks, doing harinams on the ground. I was like, crazy.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. Man,
yeah, we stand
amazing.
on the shoulders of giants, because, the book distribution that's been going on for the last 50 years has like churned the soil of humanity over.
Well, I'm sure that Riddha will agree. Oh, by the way, Riddha Prabhu, obeisances.
Dandapat. I always keep you in fond memories in my heart. You're my savior. If it wasn't for you coming to rescue me when Srila Prabhupada attended the 1974 Rath Yatra in San Francisco, and you said, Riddha Prabhu, don't worry about the Vancouver traveling sankirtan party. You're having problems going back to Vancouver. You come with me and you can collect for Hawaiian temple, Honolulu temple. And you gave me shelter. We traveled together a little bit, and you sent me on to Hawaii. And I always remember you with great affection.
I remember you with the same, Prabhu. I was telling Gaura yesterday that if you ever saw Riddha Prabhu distribute books, he was he was amazing, and he would just like talk right through the cloud of Maya, and just assume that they were gonna just conclude that they're gonna take the book, and then when they did take the book, he would high five them, and he would high five them so loudly that I was joking with Gaura. I said, I'd be in the United Terminal, and he'd be in the American Terminal, and we'd hear the slap, and we'd go, Riddha just sold the book. Because he would go, put her there, man, and he'd smack the guy. And it was like, they would get like a jolt of electricity, fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
I do remember them.
They're running down the gangway there, off the plane. They're running to go to the bathroom. They're running to go to a cafe. The military boys are running to the bar. You got to grab them before they disappear.
Yeah, O'Hare was always so fast.
Really?
People would go from one terminal to the next terminal, and they'd make their connections, and they would always be in the process. Everybody was always in the process. You hardly ever had anybody just standing there.
I was talking to Tripurari last night, and he told me, I went to a few court cases with him, but he systematically spearheaded the opening up of at minimum 12 to 15 American airports.
Wow.
He started to name them all legally. We can't imagine the Shakti behind Tripurari was absolutely single-pointed. It was dynamic. And he did it with the First Amendment, the right to free speech and religion, to speak, on religious subject matters. It's the First Amendment in American law.
First Amendment, free speech, the right of free speech.
Yeah, and freedom of religion. So Tripurari used that specifically in every court case to get our book distribution boys into an airport, and opened up so many airports.
And I got to be honest with you, we actually we were swept up in the fun of it. The fun of it was spiritual, transcendental fun. People say, "Oh, you did so," like devotees would come years later. They'd come up to you and say, "Oh, you did such a nice service, Prabhu, and it was fantastic." And I'm like, "Are you kidding? That was the place to be. There was no other place on the planet Earth that you would want to be than right there."
That was modern day Panchatattva facility. It was amazing. It was
look at how in the Bhagavad Gita, in the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna and Krishna both wanted to get out into the middle of the battlefield so they could see who was arrayed on the battlefield against them. What's happening? Well, who's going to participate in this slaughter? Absolute slaughter, and it was we were given a chance to participate. That's, I guess, how I see it. We were just made fortunate, to witness. We knew each devotees, like, we'd watch each other so much and marvel at the way in which everybody did what they did, and we could actually time it. We'd stand off on the side and go, "Okay, watch it. Now here's Maharaj's going to do this. Now he's going to do that. He's going to say this, and watch the karma's going to do this." And then, okay, now's the time. The money's going to change hands. And it would all happen just like we predicted, you know.
I mean, every one of our commandos, the Tripurari, they had their speciality. You had your speciality. You could get people I would never dream of approaching. Hardcore American Mack truck drivers with a big leather buckle belt that said Mack truck. I wouldn't dream of going anywhere near those guys because they were like rednecks practically. You would go in there with a handshake, you would befriend them, and within a few minutes, $20 and it was done. I couldn't dream of doing that, Praghosa. You could get people that were very difficult to get. And then the other hand, there was Ganapati. He would specialize in Catholic priests. Excuse me, Father. Excuse me, Father. And then he would spend a little bit more than 5 minutes, and then he would also get $20 and the Bhagavatam sold. And then there was our godbrother, our Jewish godbrother. He was so sweet. His name was Sarvabhauma.
Oh, I used to call him Woody Allen. He looked just like Woody Allen.
Oh, such a beautiful soul. Such a beautiful soul. I was with him in Mayapur. He's getting some surgery in South India right now. He's in a wheelchair, actually. He can't even move. But he would approach them with such humility. His mode of operation, you could not duplicate it. We're just asking for a courtesy donation, sir, and it's just cover the cost of it. The way in which he would come at an angle around a drifting passenger off the plane, and he would befriend them with such gentleness, and get a donation and get the book distributed. He was
Well, another thing too was that even though we were in this domain, and there was so much going on, simultaneously, it almost seemed like everything slowed down. You know, it was a mystical kind of slowing down, where as soon as you got someone to stop, all the activity went past you, and now you could just speak to the person, and so many different things would happen. Yeah, it was remarkable, O'Hare. And Tripurari, he's the one that actually went upstairs and talked to them about changing the name of the airport.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Prabhu, can you center your head a little more? We can almost only see you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
how's that?
Mahotsaha has just come. He only has 10 minutes, so I don't want you to leave, Praghosa. But Mahotsaha, he'll come and join us, but he's got 6 more Bhagavatams to sell. And he has 1 hour left on book distribution, so he's only got 10 minutes.
Okay, let's bring him in.
You see him?
Yes. Here he is from the new generation, Mahotsaha Prabhu.
Wow.
Hari Krishna Prabhu, welcome.
Mahotsaha. I met Mahotsaha in New York.
Yeah, you're my hero, Praghosa.
Well, now you're my hero now. I'm regressing back to childlike status.
Oh no, Prabhu, I'm just struggling out here.
Yeah, it sounds like you're struggling. You can't keep them in the box long enough.
I didn't do 6. I just did 7 Bhagavatams. I just met one lady just now. She bought 5 Bhagavatam sets from me just now.
5 sets?
What? 5 Bhagavatam, one shot just now.
5 complete sets.
Bhagavatam. It was so crazy. I just told her, take one.
Wait. Did you say 5 books or 5 sets?
5 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. 5.
Oh my God!
I'll show you right now. Look.
It's the golden age. It's the golden age on Earth.
Yeah, you see, these are all the Bhagavatam sets left.
Yeah.
We have a few Bhagavatam left. But yeah, this lady bought 5 Bhagavatam sets for someone you like, 1 for someone you don't like, 1 for your cousin, 1 for your cousin's sister, and 1 for yourself. And these people have so much money for their cards, they gave me the whole thing. It was really amazing.
Wow.
How do
Wow.
they pay for the book? Could you explain to us how they pay for it?
How they pay for it? Okay, I have it here. This is the magic box. The magic box. It's called the Square. And they have the money on their card and they tap this machine and it's game over. That's it. This is one thing. This is one thing. It was
Magic
so
box.
crazy. They did it for 5. I was ecstatic. I was really ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. And it was amazing.
I love that statement. One for those you don't like, and one for those you like.
Yeah. Everyone's got to get one, even if you hate them.
Oh, there you are. Prabhu, where were you distributing?
I am right now in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, good spot.
Oh, is that where you did the 5 sets?
Yeah, just now. As of now, I need to count, but I think I'm at 21 Bhagavatam sets. I still have an hour left. So, like, let's see. With all of y'all Shakti, I think, like, something amazing is going to happen. I have a feeling.
Wow.
I have a
Are
feeling.
you on the campus? Are you on the campus?
I'm not on. I'm no. The summer season. The school is out. I'm at a. What should we call this place? I'm at like a shopping mall kind of a place. Yeah, I'm at a shopping mall.
Well, Prabhu, I offer you my obeisances 1,000 times.
More than obeisances, if you could offer me the dust from your lotus feet.
Well, I don't have any of that, but Prabhupada is very, very pleased with you. You know, whenever someone was introduced to Prabhupada, and they would say, you know, this is Prabhupada, this is your disciple, Praghosa, Riddha, Prabhu, or whatever. Prabhupada would turn to us and he would say, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's
You know, he
ecstatic.
would say, thank you. And, you know, honestly, that was all it took. We were surcharged for the rest of the year. You know, I remember the first time that Prabhupada spoke to me, Rameshwar Prabhu pushed me into a car in Los Angeles in September of 1973. And that was the first day that I had ever seen Srila Prabhupada. And I was standing about 20 feet from the car, and suddenly I felt these two arms wrap around me and grip my arms. And from behind, I heard the devotee say, Praghosa, go with Srila Prabhupada on a walk. It'll change your life forever. So I immediately jumped into the car and I went on the walk. And while I was on the walk, I was trying to navigate, get up close to Prabhupada because Prabhupada was wearing that coat with the fur, the fuzzy little thing. I couldn't hear him. You know, he was looking straight ahead. So I kept trying to edge up and get up to where I could hear Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada suddenly stopped. And I accidentally nicked the back of his foot with my foot. And Prabhupada turned around, he put his cane in my stomach. And he said, don't come close. And I went into shock. I was, oh my God, I was like so shocked. And I said, oh, Srila Prabhupada, I'm so sorry. And Prabhupada turned around and started walking. So the rest of the walk, I kept hanging back, and Riddha and other Mars kept looking back at me and going, back up, get back. So I get back to the temple, and Rameshwar walks up to me and goes, Praghosa, tell me about the walk. And I said, oh, Prabhu, you won't believe it. Prabhupada spoke to me. And he said, what did he say? He said, don't come close. And I said, and Rameshwar said, oh, you are the most fortunate soul in the entire universe. That's how we saw, you know, any drop of nectar from Prabhupada. We just scooped it up like it was milk. And we would thrive on it. So, you know, you're thriving. Prabhupada is very grateful for your service.
Absolutely.
And he's also blessing you. You're actually able to take this with you now for life. You're never going to forget the day that you sold 6 sets of books in Columbus, Ohio. You will never forget this day, ever. Yeah.
What about
I have countless memories of incidents that took place. I could talk for 2-3 hours, and this one and that one, this one, that one. And to an outsider, to someone outside of that service, outside of the moment, they might not think it very significant. But to us, it was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
Say
So I'm
something.
blown away. I'm blown away by these devotees in New Zealand. Oh my God.
Say something about
Unbelievable.
when you were doing sankirtan in Washington D.C. and Prabhupada asked you how was sankirtan.
Well, that's when he came back.
What year was that?
That was 76. 76. Prabhupada, it was the bicentennial year, the 200-year anniversary. Prabhupada was there. It just happened that the formation, the legalization of ISKCON, the corporation, fell in the same week. And so it was a pretty interesting week that Prabhupada was there. And I was every day going to the airport every day, coming home at night, and everybody was always saying, Praghosa, you missed such an incredible darshan. Prabhupada said this, he said that. One thing I do remember Prabhupada saying that I should probably mention, we have Mataji here. Prabhupada was, at one point, this is what I was told, is that he was saying the Krishna consciousness is so important that one should begin it immediately, and if possible, he should try to avoid entanglement in family life. And Prabhupada said, give your all, just give this one life to Krishna. What can you lose? This is what I was told. So Vipina was the one who told me. So one Mataji raised her hand and she said, but Prabhupada, for the ladies too? And Prabhupada said, yes, why not? Woman, man, we don't make such distinction. Give your life to Krishna. Give your life to Krishna. So everybody was like thrilled, that if they were there listening to Prabhupada say this. It was so heavy. And I came back it was like the fourth day in a row that I came back, and everybody was always telling us, what Prabhupada said. And I was like, God, I'm missing every day. I miss the darshan every day. So the second last day that Prabhupada was there, I was coming back from the airport, and I started praying to Krishna, you got to make some arrangement. I got to be able to see Prabhupada at least once. And the previous year, I tried to see him in Chicago, and one devotee came and he said, Prabhu, I got to get this oil over to Prabhupada's apartment. And I said, I'll take it. So I took it over to Prabhupada's apartment, and on the way over, I was thinking in my mind, this could happen, that could happen. I could knock on the door. Maybe they'll let me in. I could actually sit down with Prabhupada. I had a whole thing in my head worked out how it was going to go. And then they opened the door. Upendra opened the door. He said, is that the oil for Prabhupada? I said, yes, Prabhu. And he says, give it to me. I gave it to him. He said, thank you. And slammed the door. Slammed the door right in my face. And I was like, oh my God. What do I do? And I could hear Prabhupada on the other side of the door. I could hear his deep voice talking. And I was like, oh, maybe I should just knock on the door and ask to come in. And then I said, well, that would be presumptuous. I shouldn't do it. But maybe I should do it. No, I won't do it. So then I just sat down on the steps and I started crying.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
I apologize.
Nothing to apologize for. Sitapati Prabhu has a lot of Kshatriya spirit. You were telling me the story the other night when you were at O'Hare Airport, and one of our god sisters had some blood on her, and you asked her. I think you asked her what had happened, and she said someone had stabbed her with a pin.
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe I don't know if you want me to change the topic or not.
No, but I apologize for this.
No. It's your love for Prabhupada.
No need to apologize, Prabhu. We can feel your love for Srila Prabhupada, and it is contagious. Thank you for sharing that experience of your time with him and your eagerness to see
We
him and
need to
talk
see
to
your
him.
head. We just see your forehead right now. You're
It's
disappearing.
okay.
We need to see your face, Praghosa. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry.
So you sat down, and then was that the end of that story, or did it continue?
Well, what happened was Prabhupada never opened the door. I mean, I sat there for half an hour, and then I felt bad because in my mind, I was expecting something. And then I thought, well, if Krishna wanted to give me that experience, he would do it. But evidently, he didn't want to do that, so okay. Fast forward 1 year. I don't think I can get through it. I can't.
It's okay. There's one story you tell Prabhu about meeting a military man in the airport. You were distributing, I think, a Bhagavad Gita to him. And is that the story where you told the military man, "Oh, the author is here," and Prabhupada was coming through the airport?
That happened twice to me.
Twice.
Once in San Francisco. Yeah, once in San Francisco. And then once in Washington. And the one in Washington they were both amazing. I went to the airport a little bit early to distribute books, waiting for Prabhupada to come. All the devotees were there. They had mridungas and cartels, and they were running from every direction. From 10 directions, devotees were running to greet Prabhupada. So I was selling the book to the guy, and the guy gave me $20. And I said, I got to tell you something. The author of this book, the greatest soul to ever walk on the earth. And I said, you want to meet him? You want to see him? The guy said, yeah, I would love to. I said, come on, let's go. So we start running. And as we're running, the guy's getting super excited, just beside himself. Which terminal? Which gate? I said, it's gate 26 or whatever. And he said, okay, let's go. And as we're running along, he pulls out his wallet. I kid you not. He pulls out his wallet, and he reaches in and he hands me a 50. Pulls out another $50, and we're running, and he gives me the $50 on the fly. What's this for? He goes, I didn't give you enough money. I want to give you more money. And I said, no, you don't got to give me more money. He says, take it. Take the money. Take the money. I said, okay, I'll take the money. So we get there, and just as we get to the gate, Prabhupada's starting to come out. He comes out of the tube from the plane into the waiting area, right? And this guy leaps up on a chair, and his hat falls on the ground, gets kicked in amongst all the devotees. His duffel bag's on the ground. He's standing there, and he looks back at me and he goes, there he is, there he is. He's right there. He's glowing. He's glowing. He's telling me that Prabhupada is glowing. So what to do? I said, do what everybody else is doing. Get on the floor. Put your head to the floor. So here I'm instructing this guy. I just met him. And I'm telling him, put your head on the floor. I mean, it was just outrageous. It was incredible. And this guy's like, and the kirtan, there was a couple sannyasis. It was Vishnu John Swami. And Jamal was there, and a few other sannyasis were there. And then there was just, I don't know how many devotees, because this was for San Francisco Rath Yatra. This was a big deal. And this guy was just he was carried away, and he went outside with all the devotees, and, Prabhupada got in the car, and everybody was cheering, and everything. And he was right in the thick of it all.
Wow.
And then he turns around, and he looks at me, and he goes, oh, thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Wow, it's incredible.
Gaura, may I ask Praghosa a question, please?
Yes.
You know,
Sure.
Praghosa, the story you were saying about you with Prabhupada's doorstep. I think I heard a devotee tell me that this story of yours is lifelong inspiration for me. That I think, if I'm not wrong, the rest of the story goes that you prayed to Krishna that although you couldn't meet Prabhupada at that point of time, you prayed to Krishna that if you become the best book distributor, then you could probably get a darshan of Srila Prabhupada. Is it something along those lines, Prabhu?
Who said I said this?
I think a devotee in New York told me. I don't remember who it was exactly, but is that true?
Well, I don't know exactly if I voiced that exactly like that, but all of us felt that by doing this service, that Krishna would bless us
Wow.
and that Prabhupada would be pleased. And he made it so clear to us all that he was pleased by that. Although he took great pains, more than once devotees would ask Prabhupada in a public setting, like in Atlanta, he did in Chicago, Prabhupada, what service pleases you the most? And thinking that, he was going to say book distribution, right? And Prabhupada would never, he would always say, um, the service that pleases me, that you just try to love Krishna. You just try to love Krishna. And when you think about it, that is what he came to give us. Love for Krishna.
Mm.
Jai. It looks like the sun.
He didn't want everybody to just, seeking being distinguished. You know what I mean? He wanted us to pursue Krishna's lotus feet. I mean, we've all had this experience where, we're chanting in a kirtan, and we just cannot explain to ourselves or to anyone else why in God's name we are in such ecstasy. But we are. When I first went to the temple, I was just studying the devotees, and I was impressed with them in so many ways. But I didn't get caught up in the fire of the chanting until about a month or two after I had contact with the devotees. And then one day I kept telling myself, I'm not going to bow down in front of Krishna. I'd be phony. I'm not, And then I saw the deities and went, oops, and I bowed down, just automatically. And I told my best friend who brought me to the temple, Udayananda, I said, well, I'm not going to jump around and dance like a madman like you guys. It's not me. I'm not going to do that. And he said, okay, fine. And then the kirtan started. Halfway through the kirtan, I was jumping up and down like a kid. Couldn't explain it. And then later, Udayananda, he's such an amazing soul. He said, hey, I thought you said you were good.
Could you say something about your time with Tripurari Maharaj? How is it that he got you on the airport party?
Well, what happened was I had a party from Hawaii. I was supporting the Hawaii temple for Sudama Swami. And I was on the mainland. Sudama was in Hawaii. And he had stopped sending money to the BBT to cover our books. And so I said to him, well, look, for whatever reason, can't do it. I understand, but I feel I need to put myself in a proper position to maximize my service to Prabhupada. So I'm going to go to Chicago and join Tripurari. And that's all that happened. It happened in 2 days. Boom. Tripurari was like a lightning rod, a transcendental lightning rod. Everybody, everyone felt that. I mean, he was such a serious devotee. Serious. I mean, he was fun, but serious. he had captured, Prabhupada's imperative at that time. I'm super impressed with Mahotsaha because to me it speaks to the eternality of this service. Devotee wrote to Prabhupada one time and said that their understanding was that Prabhupada said soon that we won't be able to distribute books. And Prabhupada said, whoever said that is a rascal and is saying it in my name. Sankirtan is eternal. It will only get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're a testimony to that. I'm super, super inspired.
Before we were saying Riddha, before you came on Praghosa Prabhu with Riddha Prabhu, we were saying, it's gone from distributing books to distributing stacks of books, but it's gone from stacks to sets, and now it's like stacks of sets. I mean, where does it end?
Pretty soon we're gonna it's like semi-truck.
Semi-truck, that's pretty good.
Here's a shipping container. Where do we drop it?
Yeah.
I'd love to see Mahotsaha in action selling a book. If we could see you in action now, I'd love that.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. It's my thing is dying out. The spot is dying out. It's almost. Let me see.
I just want to see what you tell them, how you convince them.
Okay,
You're in a goatee.
Okay,
you're in saffron.
Let me try. Let me try. Just give me a minute.
I mean, that's classic. Distributing the book on the basis of, of your attire, your dress. And obviously they know you're a Hare Krishna. You're not disguising anything. So that is amazing. I really love that. I mean, I think that's beautiful. There's no disguises. There's no tricks. I want to see it.
We did that at a certain point in our history. And I think all of us who went through that particular phase, wow.
This is the ultimate perfection. The culture is in the Sanskrit.
I'd like to pay a tribute. I just want to mention something. Sitapati. I'd like to pay a tribute.
Hang on, Prabhu. He's just distributing the book. We'll just go on mute for a second.
Oh, really? Really?
Oh.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I'm sorry. I don't think I can get a good shot right now of me doing it. But I could share a confidential video of me distributing books because my Guru Maharaj asked us not to put videos of me out on the internet because he's afraid that people may misuse the video. But I could send a short video of me distributing books so devotees could see it. And then
wow, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I could send it to Gaura Prabhu and Gaura Prabhu could share it with anyone.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm going to take y'all's leave. I just have another, maybe 45.
Could we get one more minute with you, Prabhu? Dana Devi has a question that she wants to ask you.
Sure.
Prabhu, I can see there is a fire and intense love for Srila Prabhupada. And what is other things that is driving you towards distributing? And you have been amazing at what you do.
So there's two things that's driving me a lot. One of the things is, certainly, like I said, this example of Praghosa Prabhu, the one that he just said he was sitting outside and he thought that if he really gives his life to book distribution, he'll someday, maybe next year he could get the darshan of Prabhupada or something like this. And when I heard this story, I thought I'm so fallen, in this life for sure, I'll not get darshan of Prabhupada. But if I gave my life to distributing these books, and someday, maybe in my next life at least, I could get the darshan of Srila Prabhupada. Even if it's a fly on the New York streets while the Rath Yatra is going on. So the longing to get the darshan of Prabhupada, that really pushes me forward so much. And another thing is my spiritual master asked me to. Arna Kuri Homane Asha. I have no other desire other than that. So, I'm just, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Reki Hakuru Nandana. Let the world burn, let anything happen. My spiritual master told me that I should try to do at least 1,000 books it's not every day on a regular basis. I thought like I'll do it once in my life and that's it. But he asked me to do it, and then somehow I'm seeing it happen. Like it happened today, and it's happening. It's happening. It happened yesterday. It happened a few days like that, and it's somehow Krishna's mercy. I can't explain. It's unfathomable. It's like for someone who's I'm just getting a high I've never gotten before, and it just gets better and better and better. I just thought 1,000 books would be a limit, and then like you dive a little deeper than I did. I remember I did 2,002 books in one day. That was really ecstatic, and then I dived a little bit deeper. It was 3,000 books, and then a little bit deeper, 3,500, and a little bit deeper, 4,092 books. And my spiritual master was there in the temple room when when announced the book scores, and that was so ecstatic. I just really look forward to it. And I always, one of the things which drives me the most is I always set an impossible goal in front of me that I need to break this certain record. Right now, my goal is to somehow get the world record in 5 digits. Right now it's in 4 digits. I want to get it in five, like maybe 10,000 books in one day. I know it seems impossible, but I think that if I just somehow tap into Srila Prabhupada's mercy, it's possible. It's possible. I've seen, like just I was recalling there was maybe like 6 months ago there was a day where I was able to distribute 600 books in half hour. It was really amazing. It blew my mind. I could have never imagined that I could. That's that this thing is even possible. But then when we read the Bhagavatam, we see how Dhruva Maharaj, when he was fighting with the Yakshas, he released so many of these weapons, and from one arrow, from one, he would shoot so many thousands of arrows at all the Yakshas. So all these things are possible. It's like, when Arjuna was fighting with Bhishma, he was releasing 100 arrows, 1,000 arrows to 100,000. How is this possible? But it's somehow possible. It's happening. It's happening in front of it's pratyaksha. I can see it. I can feel it. In Prabhupada's presence is there. And the Acharya's presence is there. And Brigapati Prabhu always asks me to carry this wherever I go. So I try my best to follow. So he personally had given this to me. He's my sankirtan acharya. So I carry this. And this is the prayers to the six Goswamis. And they the presence of the acharyas is so much, it's palpable. It's the acharyas are real. They're more real than any karma you'll meet. They're more real than anyone else. Like there's no love in this material. Love is from the Guru Parampara. And to feel that mercy, that really pushes me on more and more. And as far as the one last thing, I'm sorry, I'm speaking way too much. One last thing is, I really feel like this is the only means of my redemption. I'm such a sinful person. I've done so many horrible things in my life. The only way I could redeem myself is to just give myself to Prabhupada's book distribution, and I don't think there's any other way. Any other way I could do it. So,
I love your passion. I love your passion, Prabhu. Jai
Yeah.
Shri Krishna.
Jai.
Hare
May
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada will always be with you.
Jai. Thank you.
We hope to have you back again.
What do you say, Prabhu?
We hope to have you back again.
Yeah. You invite me for sure.
Yeah, let's do another, Prabhu. Let's do a podcast about book distribution and all your experiences. Because what we need to do is...
On one condition, that everyone on the Zoom call unconditionally gives me all their blessings.
Of course, Prabhu.
Then we have a deep... Prabhu, can I get a yes from you too, please?
I'm in awe. I'm in just complete and total awe. And I want to be able to somehow or other give you something that your request is that you can feel, the presence of Prabhupada. Prabhupada in Bombay came downstairs after 4 days. He had not come to Guru Puja for 4 days because he was ill. So on the 5th day, he came down for Guru Puja, and they started the Guru Puja, and Prabhupada put his hand up and said, to stop the kirtan. So they stopped, and Prabhupada said, I must apologize. I have not been able to attend this Guru Puja every day. He said, but you should know that I am in my form here on Guru Puja. You sing this song, and you come together and sing this song and worship the spiritual master, and I will be here. I will always be here.
Wow.
Never fear. So, and then Lloyd Toxford told me this story. Prabhupada got tears in his eyes, and he said, I will be here. Whether I'm here physically or not, I will be here, and I will accept your service. He said, this is such an important ceremony because each day we come before the spiritual master and we offer obeisances and we ask him to please forgive us for any mistakes we might have made the previous day. And we do that day in, every day. So you go to Guru Puja, you sing Guru Puja, when you hit the streets, you're dynamic. I'm completely in awe. My obeisances 1,000 times.
Forgive me,
1,000
please.
times.
Me too. Jai.
Joe, thank you for joining us, Prabhu, taking time out, and the 5 Bhagavatam sets right before you came on is incredible.
You know, if we're at 20, I think I'm at 20 right now. Even if I do a few more, that'll be ecstatic. So, Jai.
Wow.
Hey,
Jai, thank you,
Jai Shri
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
We'll have you back.
I hope
Thank you, Prabhu.
All glories to your service.
always Prabhupada, Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri
Wow.
Jai.
Mind-blowing devotee.
Yeah, thank you for bringing him on. And Riddha Prabhu, you were creating a tribute there, and I interrupted you there.
I wanted to give a tribute to Praghosa, Prabhu, specifically, because
please.
What happened was, it was 1976 in Mayapur, and Praghosa tapped me on the shoulder. It was the evening, maybe it was about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. He said, Riddha Prabhu, tonight I have recommended you to be Srila Prabhupada's security guard for the night. So Praghosa gave me that service. He's so kind. He said, because your dedication, because you're a book distributor, you're the BBT Airport Sankirtan Party, I have recommended you to be with Srila Prabhupada outside his personal quarters upstairs in the Lotus building on the 2nd floor. You will remain there from 9 o'clock right through to Mangalati. And you know what? It wasn't about the service so much. It was the most sublime experience I had. It was the night before Gorpanima.
Wow.
I went up there at 9 o'clock, and then by 10 o'clock, everybody was sacked out everywhere. Everybody was resting. And then on the back side of Srila Prabhupada's quarters, there were many Mawari businessmen who were life members had come and put their bedroll out and were sleeping at the backside because Mayapur was full. It was Gorpanima. And then at some stage, probably about midnight to 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, Srila Prabhupada quietly came out of his quarters, went to the bathroom. It seemed very, very quick. He was in and out the bathroom real fast in his silk lungi saffron cloth. And he came out in the veranda, and then he saw me, and then he walked to the end of the veranda and looked at the yoga pit, and he was focusing on the full moon we could see in the distance and the yoga pit. And then he came back. I offered my dandavats. He asked me my name, and then he went into his room. So sublime. And then he started his translation work. And during the course of his translation work, there were these people that were sleeping on the backside of the veranda. Because it was, you could walk around from the front to the back. So Prabhupada came out and he told me, he said, stop those men snoring. They're disturbing me doing my translation work. There were people snoring. So I had this task of had to go around, wake the guy up and say, Srila Prabhupada doesn't want you making a disturbance by snoring. Please stop. It was quite funny. And anyway, so Srila Prabhupada got a translation. Like clockwork, he would rise early hours of the morning to do his translation work. And being a publisher myself, many times I've had to get up at 4, 2. It's the most sublime time to do any work on publishing and writing. Things move around very nice. And I'd like to give this tribute to Praghosa for awarding me this wonderful service, and I have never forgotten his kindness. Never.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
One time, Praghosa
Go ahead.
and I
Go
were
ahead.
traveling.
Well, I want to say thank you to all of you for including me in this unexpected. I mean, this is unexpected bit of nectar. I'm sorry I got a little emotional there, but that I can't control that.
You
I
shouldn't.
think
You shouldn't.
it has more to. Well, it has more. I don't know if it has anything to do with age or what, but there are things about devotional service now that are just absolutely stunning to me, and I can't express what happens. Just can't. But I want to finish one little thing. I'll leave you this
Okay.
one little thing.
Okay.
In Chicago, Prabhupada didn't let me in. He didn't invite me in, and I regretted that. But by the time I got back to the temple, I thought, well, maybe down the road in the future, Krishna willing. Fast forward 1 year, and we're in D.C., and I'm coming back from the airport, and I told you I missed every darshan, all these darshans. Prabhupada was saying these really beautiful things. I couldn't be there, so I'm driving back, and this is how devotees actually, little moments in their life, they tie together, and you see Krishna's hand. It's pretty mind-boggling sometimes. So in the car on the way back, I'm praying to Krishna that he give me a chance. Prabhupada's leaving tomorrow. Give me a chance. Let me speak with Prabhupada. Let me just be with Prabhupada for even 5 minutes. And then I started getting upset, and I got back to the temple. I got out of the car, and I started walking towards the temple. Prabhupada's house was up on a hill next to the side of the temple in the front. And it was dark, and it was lit by one lamp, one street lamp. So I'm walking, and I have a remembrance. Now this is going to sound really crazy, but this is what happened. I'm walking along, and suddenly I stop in my tracks. I just stop. And I remembered I had a crush on a young girl when I was about 15, 14. And I used to ride my bike by her house, and when she would come out, I would talk to her. So this one day, I ride my bike, and I go, hey, her name was Michelle. I'll just ride by, and I don't have to knock on the door or anything, but if she comes out, then we could talk. And that would be nice. So lo and behold, she comes out on the porch, and I go, oh my God, there's Michelle. I rode my bike up, and we had a little chat, flirted a little bit as kids do with each other. And then her father came out and said, okay, Michelle, it's time to come in for dinner. And he said, Pat, you get home for dinner too. I said, okay, Mr. McCool. So in that moment, the Super Soul said, just like that, go up there, go up by the house, you'll catch Prabhupada, Prabhupada will come out. And I turned, I bolted. I started running. I was like, oh my God, that's true. It's going to happen. And I got up there, and Subhuti had gotten up there ahead of me, and he was going around the house, and he saw where Prabhupada was coming out from behind the pool. And he came running up to me and said, Praghosa, Prabhupada's coming out. I said, where? He said, he's over here. And I ran around the house to the other side, and sure enough, Srila Prabhupada walks out of the darkness, smack into the light. And there he is, standing there, just as casual but loving as you could imagine. And immediately I fell at his feet, right smack in front of him, and offered my obeisances. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya. And Prabhupada looks down at me and he goes, so, what is this? And one of the devotees said, Prabhupada, these are the sankirtan brothers. Prabhupada, they just come back from the airport. And Prabhupada grabbed his watch, and it was 9:30. He looked at his watch, he said, oh, 9:30, so late. Oh, you're working very hard. And I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. Together, Subhuti and I distributed 130 copies of the Bhagavad Gita today. And Prabhupada put his hands up in the air and he said, Jai! Victory! And I said, yes, Prabhupada. And one man gave me $80 for 4 books. And Prabhupada said, Hacha, $80, 4 books. And then he looks at Hari Sara and he goes, that's a handsome prophet. and I said, yes, yes, Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, he turned and I said, Prabhupada, one soldier asked me, could he be a soldier and be a Krishna devotee? And Prabhupada said, well, what did you answer? And I said, oh, Prabhupada, I showed him the picture of Arjuna on the cover. And I became like a little kid, talking to Prabhupada like a child, like as if he didn't know what was what. You know, I said, I showed him the picture right here on the book, and I said, this is Arjuna, Krishna's friend. And he's also happened to be the greatest warrior in human history. So I said, in human history. And Prabhupada looked at Hari Sari, and he smiled like, you know, this kid's kind of funny. So he gets up on the porch, and he turns, and he asks me in the negative, you know, instead of saying, hey, come on in. He looks back at me and he goes, so you don't want to come in? And I said, oh, Prabhupada, yes, of course I want to come in. And I stepped out of my shoes, followed him into the room. Prabhupada sat down on the sofa and put his arms up on the sofa, like, you know, on both sides. And he said, so tell me more stories. And then the whole night unfolded, which is another story to tell you another time. But that's how that happened, where I remembered that incident from my childhood. I hadn't thought of that person or that incident for 10 years. It had no place in my consciousness. And then suddenly the Super Soul said, just like that, go up to the top of the hill. Prabhupada will come out and you'll see Prabhupada. And it was 1 year after I tried to get in Chicago. I couldn't get in. And then there, Prabhupada invited me in. So, and it was a whole year of sankirtan and the bliss of dealing with all the prabhus. And it was amazing. It was an amazing year. It was like a transcendental sandwich, Chicago, Washington, and everything in between. So that's one of my little stories.
Praghosa Prabhu, we don't know if there's going to be another time. Please tell us about when you were in the room with Prabhupada and he was on the sofa and he wanted you to say more. So what more did you tell him about Sankirtan?
Well, I don't know if I could chronologically say it all, but
whatever. Did he freeze? Are you there?
Looks like it. Maybe we could get Praghosa to come on and do a whole episode about that.
Yeah, no, you're lucky.
Sounds like there's a lot of nectar.
You're lucky if you can get him. He said he's taken maybe six or 7 days off in the last 4 years. So we're very fortunate that we have him because he's working really hard to support his family in Los Angeles. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to squeeze all the nectar I can out of him. So Prabhupada's arms are back on the sofa on the Chesterfield there, and Prabhupada wanted you to say more. He's in and out.
Okay, the connection may not be so great right now.
How long did you spend in Hawaii with Praghosa? A few months?
Praghosa never actually, he stayed on the mainland.
Okay.
In California, and he sent me ahead. I was in Hawaii for 6 months.
Okay.
I have a question. Were the three of you all together on the airport party at the same time?
Yes, definitely.
I came Gaura later. I came at the end of 75, but I was put on State Street, downtown Chicago on DTPs. And then after going with Mahamuni down to Shreveport, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, Dallas, and the French Quarter in New Orleans, I came back, and Udam Shloka asked me to be the book boy and the prasadam carrier for Praghosa Prabhu, Vaisheshika, Tripurari Swami. Swavas would join, Gopal Bhatta would come, Naikatma would come, Sura was out there, all the time. Sura was in charge of the Lakshmi, right, Praghosa? He was
Yeah,
like,
right.
right. And
I mean,
Manasuta, can't forget Manasuta. What an amazing devotee.
oh yes.
He had a beetle. We all wore wigs. We all wore wigs at the airport. And Manasuta had a beetle wig with bangs down to his eyebrows. And we had Gopati's prasadam every day, which was out of this world. Or Vishnu Dat's prasadam. I would serve that out at noon every day.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I've been online since 5 a.m. and it's 7 a.m.
Okay.
And I just one other, and I can't keep sitting for so long. My body's aching. So I appreciate you inviting me. I appreciate being with Praghosa. And if you could post my YouTube channel.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen, at the bottom of the screen. It's youtube.com/@Riddha 1668.
Now, I also am working on the 4th book now with Ajamil Prabhu. Ajamil Prabhu is a godbrother of mine, Srila Prabhupada disciple. And it's entitled Srila Prabhupada in Kenya.
This is Ajamil Prabhu, who is in Malaysia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jamil just wrote to me. Jamil just wrote to me and he said, Riddha is a total Prabhupada man. He just wrote to me.
There you go. Mention his name, and there he is.
So I have a promotional video. It's a multimedia presentation as well as a book. And so I have that video available now. It just came to me as we were talking, but it's in Telegram because it's a big video file. Probably, you know.
Can you send it to me on Telegram and I could play it?
Yeah, I'll forward it to you immediately if you send it.
Yeah, we can pull it up. We can pull it up right now and play it.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me see if I search for Riddha.
Here's a message from
Hey,
Jamil.
Prabhu, I think I'm going to have to cut out because my son.
Okay.
Something now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us, Prabhu.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
And we would like to get you back on to tell the whole pastime of the night with Prabhupada.
Okay. Yeah,
So let's coordinate that with Gaura.
I want to know what's going on in New Zealand. It sounds so exciting.
Yes, we have a special episode about that in a couple of weeks with the devotees who were at the protest coming on to talk about it and show videos.
You know, when we were in France one time, we challenged for doing Harinam on the street, and ultimately, they didn't even say that. They said, "We're just singing. You can't criminalize singing, regardless of what we're singing. We're just singing. You can't criminalize singing. How can you criminalize?"
I love it.
You know, so yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Maybe you could actually get Mahotsaha to come over to New Zealand for a while.
We might be able to do that.
He would probably kill over there.
Yes.
Are you
Okay, well, thank you for coming on, Praghosa Prabhu.
All right,
at
Chris.
Sitapati25 in Telegram? Is that you?
Let me check on that.
Sitapati at Sitapati25? I don't know which. I'm looking for you, but I can't find you.
Try Josh Wolf. It could be.
I was trying to get you with Rameshwar, Praghosa Prabhu, and Riddha. I was trying to make a dynamic trio, but another time maybe. Rameshwar just said he just finished leaving the Rath Yatra in New York. He just finished leaving the cart.
Yeah, he's pretty actively involved in that now. I'm gonna have to leave all of you. Please accept my most humble obeisances.
Manchikopa Druvyascha, Kripa Sindhuvyeva Cha, Titanam Pavanebhyo, Praghosa Prabhu Namo Namaha.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Chapati.
Thank you for your time, Praghosa.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
I'll give your contact info to Sitapati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Jai. I'm gonna,
I don't know how do I find myself on Telegram?
But look for me. If you look for me, then you can
Yep.
I'll send you a video.
What do I look for?
I'm gonna take leave, Sitapati, and I'll take your leave. So thank
Also,
you.
thank you, Gaura, Transcendental Connector.
I was grabbing at straws and Krishna sent.
Oh, amazing! It just fulfilled the intention of passing, the torch to the next generation. And it's like it's the fire of sankirtan is expanding. It will consume this planet completely.
You Mahotsaha and Dana Devi, you got the torch now.
Yes, it's the no mercy distribution of the mercy program, mercilessly distributing the mercy. I'm looking for Riddha on Telegram. Am I looking in the right place? Thank you, Gaura Prabhu.
Thank you, Riddha Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaura.
Jai.
Thank you for being so accommodating.
This was ecstatic. You're saving my life. Let's see you
Hare
soon.
Krishna.
Krishna willing, see you soon. Hare Krishna. I'll be leaving for Chicago in a few days, says Sitapati, so I'll be there. I won't be able to join you for the next week. I'll be busy there in Chicago.
Now my book has been given to Sikhi Mahidi.
Okay.
Given him 3 copies. One is for Tripurari, which I'll give you his postal address. One is for the Chicago devotees.
Okay.
The library there. And one is for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhu.
Or if you prefer to get your copy in Toronto, then the third copy could be for whatever Srila Prabhupada godbrother that you wanted to.
Okay, that's great.
It's a present from me to you in Chicago.
Super. Okay, I'll look forward to that.
So he's left. He's leaving this morning in an hour or so for Chicago.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Great.
And of course, I will
soon. Thank you very much.
His personal copy as well.
Hare Krishna, Dana. Yes. Thank you for participating. I saw you were totally immersed in sankirtan. You know what I wanted to squeeze out of Praghosa Prabhu is he was telling me about some of our sankirtan god sisters glorifying Labangalatika. Maybe Riddha Prabhu would know her. And Mula Prakriti. Yes. These are 2 saintly god sisters, Mula Prakriti and Labangalatika, full of Shakti. You knew them, right, Riddha?
We should bring them on.
Oh. Let's bring them on, but let's not keep
left your body. Like Bangaladesh is taking care of cows in India. Do you know anything about?
Let's not keep Riddha Prabhu sitting too long.
Also left the body.
La Bangalatika left your body too.
Yeah.
So you'll have to get to talk about these 2 god sisters
next lifetime.
Yeah.
They're mentioned in the book. I've mentioned them in the book.
Mula Prakriti is in the Prabhupada Memories. And she tells us amazing stories. She comes back from Sankirtan, and Prabhupada's in the room with a sannyasi. You can see it in Prabhupada's Memories. It's amazing. And so Prabhupada asked her, so, how was Sankirtan today? Oh, Srila Prabhupada, I met this person and that person. And Prabhupada said, yes, and then what did you say to them? Oh, Prabhupada, I said this. And then Prabhupada said, and then what did he say to you? Oh, he said this. And then she took over, and she just started bubbling over with all of the wonderful people she met. And the sannyasi is kind of freaked out, who does this Mataji think she is? And Prabhupada was lapping it up. He was just eating it up. He loved to hear it. But the sannyasi, he was a little bit bent out of shape.
She was special. She was really empowered. No other word for it. There's a few like that. Jadharani was like that. Labangalatika was like that, but she was very low key. She was very unassuming.
Yeah, we need to hear these ladies' Sankirtan stories so the ladies can hear them as well, and the men.
To feel empowered too.
Yeah.
Josh Wolf just came in, so I'll send it.
Yeah, send me the video file, Prabhu, and I'll play it. We can play it.
Let's do that.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
just now.
Adios, amigos.
Okay. Hare Krishna, vaya con Dios.
Mucho gusto.
Adiós. Hasta luego, Gaura, Prabhu.
Muchas gracias. Dio benedicto.
Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Okay, so I've sent it to Josh Wolf. It's just a matter
Okay,
of
let's check it out.
it's
just a
got
matter of
one
time.
so it might take a little bit of time.
Here it is. Yeah, I
Oh.
see it. Whoa. Okay, it's almost it's a what is that? Nearly a gig in size. Epic. It's a big one. You can send files that big in Telegram, eh? Crazy.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Only
Mm.
in one day. Not multiple in one day, but at least one big file a day.
Okay.
Yeah. Telegram is special. If you want to play that, it's really nice. I haven't even watched it yet.
Wow, this is a world
First
premiere.
time. Yes, let's do that.
Now, Prabhu, I checkpointed something here. You were telling a pastime about the Gurkha and about the Bhaktivedanta manna and something to do with a tree.
Tree?
Maybe not the tree. Maybe I'm mashing up a video I saw of you in a tree at Bhaktivedanta Manor with the pastime.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about. The tree is something different.
Okay,
and
the tree is a
goat-
different pastime.
Where did you see that video with the tree?
On your YouTube channel, pretty sure.
Oh, really? Was it the yew tree?
Yeah,
Oh,
the yew
somebody's-
tree, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was not on your channel. It was when I Googled for your channel, I found Riddha Das and the yew tree at Bhaktivedanta Manor.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been there for thousands of years. Yew trees are special. Anyway, to answer your question, what was the other thing? Not the tree, the other thing.
The Gurkha and the Bhaktivedanta Manor. You were telling a pastime about that.
Yes.
We checkpointed it because Praghosa Prabhu joined.
What happened was
So there was a short interlude.
what happened was that during the World Hindu Conference, which I attended with a sannyasi friend of mine, there was a side group of the World Hindu Conference Federation, which was organized by Nepalis. So they confided in us that if you do not get your freedom of religion, if they try to close you down, we are there for you, and we will take certain steps to teach the British authorities a lesson, not to mess with you.
This was the Gurkhas who said this?
No, these were the administrators of the Hindu World Federation Conference.
I see.
Which was
Okay.
a side group of Nepalis. And Nepalis are quite militant.
They sound like it. Yeah.
I can't tell you exactly online what they said, but they were in business with us, and they meant it. We had backing, and the temple president, he would go to the end of the world to fight for Srila Prabhupada and the freedom of religion expression. He would go to the end of the world. So you must have a look at the interview with the Kandadi Prabhu on my YouTube. It'll tell you a lot about how things panned out. Fortunately, we didn't have to become militant. We didn't have to take draconian measures. But let me tell you, we were prepared to fight for Krishna. We were prepared to do whatever it took.
Yeah, I can see that they're on there.
In the same way in which you were prepared to do your sacrifice in, was it Auckland?
Wellington. I was so
Wellington.
surprised, Prabhu. I couldn't understand it. It's like, you know, if you complied with the government mandates, then it might have seemed like nothing was happening. But if you just made the choice that, you know what, I'm not going to take this experimental medical intervention, then what happened as a result of that was you couldn't do kirtan. You couldn't go to the temple. You couldn't participate in a kirtan. And you had the experience that, hey, the government is stopping me and other people like me from doing kirtan. Not only that, but at various times they put in place things where people couldn't do kirtan together. You couldn't congregate and do kirtan. I was like, we can't do nothing about this. We have to vigorously push back against this by doing more kirtan. We must take to the streets. And then we ended up on the front lawn of the government, the parliament garden. And I was like, it's the Chankazi Leela. It's like, it's so obvious. You know, we did this one kirtan one night. This is the day that we actually met, because we met in the parliament protest.
Is it?
And so the day we met was a cyclone was happening. Everything was just raining out. And the Hare Krishna tent, we had a big tent there. And we bought some milk from our cow at Nurturing Soul, protected cow Gopika, and we made sweet rice. So we did this massive kirtan in the tent, and then we were cooking sweet rice here on burners, and then we just distributed sweet rice to everyone. And then two things about that. The next day we woke up, and Muchakunda just turns to me and he says, Prabhu, if this is wrong, I don't want to be right. That was one thing, you know, because devotees were criticizing us about it. And then the other thing was, I shot a video. It's there. We'll play it on the special when we do it. And I was just saying that the kirtan that happened last night is illegal anywhere in this country right now. Like, for those people who haven't taken this medical thing to be together, and even that number of people, regardless of their status, cannot do kirtan in this country like that. And I said, and I'm just not okay with that, and I'm not going to stand for it. And so we're not just going to go and do that kirtan in secret somewhere. We're going to bring that kirtan and we're going to do it on the front lawn of the Parliament building, because it's the Chankazi Leela up in your face. Right. And I could not understand.
We need people like you in the future, because myself, Praghosa, we may be moving on in our life. We may be moving on in our life in the very near future. So without the help of persons like you and your good wife, then when you're not going to, ISKCON is not going to benefit from Srila Prabhupada's instructions without people like you. We need you. We need you on board. We need you to push this agenda. I'm very proud to associate with you. I feel privileged. And I think that any devotee that hears your testimony, and you can send me videos if you have, I'd like to see more about it. Do you have videos?
Yeah, we have videos that we shot there, yeah.
Yeah, please send them to me on Telegram. Telegram is very good for videos.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
And we need you, Riddha Prabhu, to transmit that energy that you get from Srila Prabhupada. Because without that energy, we cannot recharge ourselves. Because through to you, you are a channeler, direct channeler of that love he was transmitting to the world, and you are the receiver. Please transmit that love, because this is our fuel for us to go ahead and continue doing what we need to do. And perhaps more things will come in the future, because this is about humanity. This is about our brothers and sisters. We cannot stop because Rakshasas just decided to be named ministers or whatever, and they're just killing every living entity that Krishna created.
Yeah.
So
no,
we're not in favor of that.
I understand. Thank you very much. I will give as much support to you as possible. I've probably only got a few years left. Krishna can take me anytime, but while I'm here, I will support you. I will support.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, bro.
I will support your program. Thank you.
We have the video here. Shall we?
Okay. Yeah, play it.
Let's watch it. So looking.
Okay, so let me move this around. I'm just going to move a couple of things around here. Now, if I say present a video file,
Really?
I can present a video file. This is amazing. Okay, let me save this one then. So file, where is this one? It's downloaded. I'm just trying to find out where exactly it is. Maybe I can do this.
Download it to your files.
Of all the countries in Africa, Srila Prabhupada targeted Kenya to begin his preaching. Their Lordships, Sri Sri Radha Banki Bihari. Srila Prabhupada instructed His Holiness Brahmananda Swami to go to Kenya and preach. Sriman Damji Devji fully supported Srila Prabhupada's preaching in Kenya. He and Mr. Jian Shah rallied the Indian community to collect the funds to buy the temple in Nairobi. Srila Prabhupada has fully blessed them. Savavid, Dinanath, Riksharaj, Shaktimati, Rasa Leela, Chayavana Swami, Bhagavad Das, Navajogendra Swami, Dinanath, Vishnudat, Danda. The famous Sankirtan Safari party that was so pleasing to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare
Incredible.
Static. No other word for it.
Yes, that's Ajamila Prabhu who's speaking, doing the voiceover there.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got like an international accent now, but it still has an Australian base.
That's right. That's right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So
That's
good.
That's the trailer. And of course, we'll have a multimedia. We'll have a multimedia full video, as well as the book.
And that will go.
That
will go on your YouTube channel.
Sorry.
And that will go on your YouTube channel. That's where people can go to watch it.
I suppose so. Yeah. I mean, I'll have to speak to Ajamil, but yeah, I'll put that on my YouTube channel definitely. Now, I mean, wow, very uplifting that. Whew. What I would tend to say is that these type of podcasts that you're doing, you can see how you touch the heart of Praghosa. You can see that. And many of the people that we've already discussed, Murla Prakriti, La Bangalatika, they're late. And if we don't catch them, then we will be doing a disservice to them by not catching them in time. In the same way in which if Ajamil and if I hadn't have gone to Kenya before the pandemic in 2018, I wouldn't have been able to be inspired. I mean, I had an unsurmountable amount of interviews, I did video interviews with historical facts which were unknown to the average devotee. So if we don't work together, if we don't put together all this chronological history, it'll be gone down the tube, because nobody will be able to recall it, or nobody has the enthusiasm to recall it. While we're still alive, catch it, document it, chronicleize it, and put it in a proper place for future generations. Srila Prabhupada went, how many days he went there in his lifetime when he was on this planet? He spent a vast amount of time in Kenya. And it is a tribal place with a tribal history. It's in a dark corner of the Earth planet. It's not New Zealand. It's very uncivilized over there. There's, there are all kinds of voodoo and all kinds of things that go on. So, but Prabhupada still extended Mahaprabhu's mission there. He still went there with such mercy, in the same way in which he went to South Africa and extended his mercy. And things flourished. Things flourish. It's amazing. But we should honor those devotees that did seva, that did service, that can tell us about the legacy, about the history. We should honor them. And I thank you for doing your great service. You're doing a great service. Really, we should get Ajamil on one day. We should get him.
Yes,
he's classic.
He can preach the glories of Nirjala Kodasi.
Oh, yeah.
I like to joke that all of ISKCON's problems have their root in a simple two things. It's failure to do Nirjala Kodasi and using Karmi toothpaste instead of Srila Prabhupada's tooth powder formula. Which I've started using, and it's amazing. And I've also actually started doing Nirjala Kodasi based off of Ajamil Prabhu's enthusiasm for it. It's like the enthusiasm. When someone's enthusiastic for something, it doesn't even really matter what it is. Like in the story that Praghosa Prabhu was telling about the man he's distributing the book to in the airport, and then he tells him the author is coming. And they go running for him. Yeah. And the guy catches the enthusiasm from Praghosa and then arrives there. And I saw a man in the crowd in that video there, and he was in a kirtan there, and he was crying in Africa. It must have been in Kenya.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. When you're around Srila Prabhupada, it's absolutely amazing. Just before he came to South Africa, I was preparing the accommodation for him. It was a small house in maybe a quarter of an acre of land in the Indian area, in a wealthy area. And the property at the back fell down, and there was an Indian family at the back that lived in a tin shanty. Poor family. So there was a little boy that lived down in that tin shanty. He came and helped me prepare Srila Prabhupada's quarters. And when Srila Prabhupada came, that boy came and took darshan. Years later, in the year 2000 something, I went to South Africa. And the devotees told me that that boy, who's now a big man, when he found out that I'd published these books about Srila Prabhupada in South Africa, he cried his eyes out. He cried like a baby. I remember it was such a personal time, just so personal. Srila Prabhupada was a person that he could touch your heart. And he's still touching our heart. So I thank you for everything that you're doing. And let's get Ajamil on board. And that's why you've got Shakti, because you're doing the Nijal.
Exactly. That's the source of all my success in life. Okay, we'll bring Ajamil Prabhu on, and so we'll bring the two of you on together. How's that to talk
good.
about the... Okay, amazing. And thank you for being so generous. You know, at the beginning, Gaura came with, hey, what about inviting this person or that person? And you just immediately responded with like, yes.
Well,
just a yes.
We need to get at some stage Tripurari and Rameshwaran as well. I'm working with Tripurari. I'm working with him right now to heal, doing some healing with him. He's not well, you know that. He's I don't think he's well at all. And I'm trying to bring him to Mayapur. This is private, you know.
Well, we're on a live stream right now.
Oops.
On the internet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, we all are destined for death sooner or later.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but like there are some very powerful and influential figures who would like more people to have a higher mortality rate faster, so that we can, you know, not have to worry about things like the climate crisis and other things, overpopulation. And so there are things afoot to kind of accelerate that for people. And, you know, without a doubt, Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Talamala, you know, the life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus flower, and at any moment it can fall. Bhaja Haripada Nitire. So worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda Maharaj. And so, as you say, we need to get, you know, we need to to capture and transmit this to the new generation while we can. It's an urgency of the hour. Yeah. In the mood of Narottam Das Thakur, as Prabhu was saying, you know, it was like, it's just the whole episode today. I'm kind of like reflecting on it. How about we do this? How about we go to the final reflections?
Yeah, let's do
and closing comments for the episode.
Yeah.
Sure.
I feel myself going to there at the moment. You know, Tripurari Swami, he said he was reflecting on book distribution at a certain point, and he was like, you know, we're going out, we're distributing these books, we're telling people like, you know, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And then you go into it further and deeper, and you read it and you find out like, oh, this is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. You like go insane, like crying incessantly, tears flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. I'm feeling all vacant in this world and your absence. And he's like, you know, the higher...
I've experienced that one time. Few times I've experienced that, you know. I just started crying in front of the deities, and I couldn't talk to anybody. I was shivering, tears. It happens. It's static symptoms. They happen. They happen when you connect with Krishna. It does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that you said that. Very interesting.
And then, yeah, we saw that manifested here, many ecstatic symptoms, Praghosa Prabhu, the horripilation, choking up of the voice. And then also in what Mahotsaha Prabhu was saying, you know, his mood, you know, that I've just missed Srila Prabhupada. It's the Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya. No, not that one. There's a Narottam Das Thakur song, Kaha Mora Sri Jiva, Kaha Sanatan. Whereas the
Jai Mora.
you know, whereas Sanatan and Rupa, and I've just missed them, and now I'll dash my head against the rock. His lamentation about how he just missed all these great personalities. And, you know, I have some experience of that for myself, and my own experience of this, that I meet the direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada. I was in the same city as Srila Prabhupada in Auckland when he was there. I was like, you know, 1 year old. So,
1 year old.
you know, I've somehow just missed Srila Prabhupada and
No, you haven't missed
on
him.
to the.
You have not missed him. That's the difference. You have not missed him. His legacy lives on. He lives within his books, and you've linked up with him, and that you're so fortunate. You're so fortunate to facilitate my god brothers and wonderful devotees. You have not missed him. Srila Prabhupada would be very happy with what you're doing. Very, very happy. Continue.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You're a real spiritual warrior. You're a real spiritual warrior to do what you have done with the protests in Wellington. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep
Yeah,
the good
and
work
I
up.
think it is by the good fortune of the Lord's grace that we've met yourself and had the opportunity to, and I'm looking forward to reading your books. I've read Destination South Africa. I'm looking forward to reading the others.
I mean, I can get the mission book to you via your cameraman, the video cameraman. What's his name from New Zealand?
Prananath Prabhu. Yeah, he's
Prananath
coming over in August.
If you can. Oh, is he? Oh,
Yeah.
India.
Mm.
Yes.
For 3 months.
He's coming in August for 3 months, so he'll be back here in 2024 sometime. But the Lord will arrange something, without a doubt.
Yes, maybe I'll just send you both books. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Since you're such a nice host. And I wanted to ask you, as the host, can you see who's viewing online, or only the people that you've invited? How does it work?
So I can see the number of live viewers, and then obviously when the episode is published afterwards, I can see, and then I can't see the exact identities of people, no.
But you can tell the quantity, or it's
Yes.
getting attention. So did
Yeah.
this session receive any quantity of persons?
Yeah, it did, and it'll get more in the long tail of content.
Yeah. I think the thing is to share it as much as possible from your end, share it, and then people will share it. And that's what we need, people to share it and to experience that love, direct love of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and revive that love for him.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's necessary. We need that.
It is. Right now, we do need it. We are in an emergency situation where people are just flat with their power to go ahead. There's so much overwhelmed with what's going on in the world. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of depression. And they don't know what to do now. So now is the time that we have to go full on power and channel that love that you felt from Srila Prabhupada. And we can go ahead and people can feel that love. You know, this is a medium for now to transmit that.
Thank you.
And Prabhu, your what are your closing thoughts, comments, what you'd like to leave people with?
Well, I would more or less say that keep Srila Prabhupada in the center, keep him center stage, and then we won't go wrong, and follow his instructions, and then we'll be safe. We'll be very, very safe. What else can we do? If we take the mission drift road, then we're lost. We stay on track with Srila Prabhupada, we will not go wrong. Simple solution, very simple solution. And adapt. Also, you're adapting to technology to reach out to people. Mahotsaha is adapting to different methods to selling the books. Slight difference to what it was in the early days, slight difference, but basically it's the old school. Distribute the book. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with it. We should never stop that. And with technology and artificial intelligence, things may be very, very different, but books will be like antiques in the future. It will be so precious, so precious. Electronic things, they can help us get to places where we normally wouldn't be able to do so. So we can use technology to our advantage, like we are now. But don't forget the hard-bound books, the soft-bound books, or whatever. Don't forget all that. Because that's what Prabhupada wanted us to do. Study his books, distribute his books, and make devotees.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for being so generous with your time today. And yeah, like it's like offering the water of the Ganges into the Ganges. Thank you for your lifetime of service to Srila Prabhupada and the mission of spreading Krishna consciousness on the earth.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being such a great warrior, Prabhu. It's inspiring to us.
Great.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We'll stay in touch.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
Thanks for tuning in for this episode of Vaishnava Voices podcast. What a journey. That was
it's heart touching.
Yeah, it was very emotional, huh?
Very, very much so. And
yeah,
being in contact with all of the direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and they can transmit that love they felt for him. Only his presence made people like all in love with him and just wanting to see him, but you're not able to see him. You just like go into this crazy mode of like, oh my gosh, I cannot see him, and cry for him. It's like, which human being creates that?
And that was 50. What Praghosa Prabhu was sharing there was 50 years ago.
I know, right? 50 years ago.
And it's so impactful.
Yeah, and that craving to see him, and you know, and what they create in their mindset is like, maybe if I do more service, he will want to see me. Maybe we'll get enough credit to say him that will happen. But anyways, Krishna will make it happen. You know, he wants to. And he goes like that, full on. And guess what? The price is like, the super soul is speaking to him and there's, Srila Prabhupada. And he actually invite him to come in. It's like his dreams come true. You know, it's not just like a fantasy, but he actually happened.
Yeah.
And there's the power of the revival of power of each individual soul, the determination, you know, those qualities is revived and they go ahead. And then guess what? The biggest thing is like you see an direct empower and soul of Sri Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. How amazing is that? Also, what we need to do is like appreciating, you know, all that effort of them.
Yeah.
Because what happened is through these years or 50 years happened since Srila Prabhupada departed, you know, ISKCON had become like it's broken. There is two groups now, you know, and that's the thing we need to bring all of these disciples.
Maybe more than two. I don't know.
Well, maybe more than two for sure. We need to bring them together and revive that love for Srila Prabhupada. Our Srila Prabhupada would say. Yeah.
Yes.
How about we call the podcast Reviving Our Love for Srila Prabhupada? That just came to me anyways while they were talking. It's like, yes, we need to revive this.
Or it could be a series, yeah.
Yeah, it can be a series of like talking about Srila Prabhupada.
What an incredible episode. That was like, I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. Like from the protest, the parliament protest yagya of doing that, going down there and it's being like, okay, go to the forest and then burn down with the forest chanting Hare Krishna. And then as a result, this. It's amazing.
You and me?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then this.
Krishna is so kind. And
association of Prabhupada's disciples and incredible.
Yes.
Mahotsaha, because Mahotsaha said, oh, thanks for tuning in, Janavajan. Hare Krishna, wonderful. Thank you for your service. It's ever so valuable. Living for these weekly Vaishnava voices. Stunning episode today. Leaves an imprint. Yeah.
Yes, that's what we want. Direct association with Srila Prabhupada's disciples. That's going to keep the movement on.
See, here's what Mahotsaha Prabhu wrote. I'm on books right now, Prabhu. If I distribute another 6 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, I promise I'll come on. I thought, oh, he's just like, joking and kind of blowing it off. Like, haha. And then he came on and I was going to ask him, like, in the chat before I brought him in, hey, did you distribute the 6 Bhagavatam sets? But he came on because he literally distributed 5 Bhagavatam sets at once.
Right.
To one person. But I mean, he heard that Praghosa was on there and he had such a strong desire to come on. And he also was like, I must distribute the books. So he distributed 5 Bhagavatam sets to one person. It's unbelievable.
And the thing about this is like, when I asked him, I know you have a love for Srila Prabhupada and what else, what is a part of that? He says like, no, he is living in me, I cannot do anything in this lifetime except for serving Srila Prabhupada. I just want to see him. That eagerness, that determination, that love is when someone is madly in love can go through this. This is the experience that you have. I just want to see my lover. Doesn't matter anything else, but I will do anything to see her or him. And then it happens. Don't know, you don't have like a vivid experience of what you're doing, but it just happens because you're making it, And I can feel that love for Srila Prabhupada from this Prabhu. And you can see his eyes so bright, And I just want to see Srila Prabhupada and this, he shows the Panchatattva?
No, he had the Sad Goswami.
Yes, this is my prayers and this is what I'm doing. It's like, that's what we want. People to feel inspired, And that's inspiring to me too.
Yeah, I wrote to Tripurari Swami to invite him to come on today's episode. And
he's going through things, so understandable.
Yeah, but this is what I wrote. I'll just read a part of it.
Sure.
What is needed now is for the overflow of passionate love for the mission of the spiritual master and the acharyas to once again threaten to overwhelm the world with love of God. And then when I saw the 6 Goswami, he had the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Yeah. So good. I'll send this episode to Tripurari Maharaj. May it give solace to his soul.
Yeah, and let's pray his physical health recovers quickly, and we need warriors like him. And what we can do is just our love can protect him too. Yes, yeah, he's not alone.
Okay, so
Beautiful.
Tune in for the next episode. Next week's episode is with Atmananda and Bhakti Marga, long-term success in the Grihastha ashram.
That's going to be another powerful one.
Yeah, and we will be back in another, what is it now? It's like 3.5 hours with the Vedic Intelligence Report, a first episode of our new show, which is discussing contemporary issues from a Vedic perspective. And today we're talking about UFOs, whistleblowers, and psyops.
Whew.
And then also
different taste.
Yeah, and then we have the
Mm.
Bhagavad Gita, daily Bhagavad Gita as it is as
My
well.
God.
I'm not sure who's doing that one today.
I think we have to become professional podcasters.
I think we already have.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thanks for tuning in. And again, tag a friend, like, comment, subscribe, share the love.
Mm.
Anything else that you want to say to be complete with this episode?
Just want to say my appreciation to all of the devotees that serving Srila Prabhupada. That passion, that love, that loyalty. I think what we need right now is loyalty for him. And as he says, I'm living through my books. You're not alone. And that inspired me actually to go back to read his books.
Mm.
Yeah, have a direct experience. Like he's talking to me, you know. He's writing what Krishna is saying to write. He's just an instrument. And that is his love when he started writing the Bhagavad Gita and all of the spiritual books. He is there himself, the channeler of Sri Krishna's love. It's incredible. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. And I appreciate for your service and loyalty to Srila Prabhupada. That's something that I admire, you know. I love loyalty. And you're so loyal to him. And I appreciate it.
Thank you. I got that.
Therefore, my loyalty to you, senor.
Que bien. Muy bien. Yeah, I'm very moved from today's episode. It's
Mhm.
very, very moving.
Me too.
Did not know what was going to happen, but you know, there's a lot of like a heartfelt emotion, you know, and even Riddha, he acknowledged it coming on, you know, that you know, there's the 50th anniversary of the installation of Sri Kishori in Chicago, and Gaura's flying over there for that. Riddha was going to fly there for that, but you know, he's changed his plans now, and you know, yeah. Anyway, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
We're gonna cry.
Yeah.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Total world victory of Hare Krishna. Thanks for tuning in. Hare Krishna.
Jai victory. Mm.